It worked. We're live. We're on the air. You guys are already popping off in the chat. That's pretty good. So don't worry. Don't worry. Zeb is going to be here. He's going to be here in just a minute. He had to step out. He got a call from his wife and then was ready to go. Then he got a call from his girlfriend. And I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Maggie. I mean, nobody. Yeah, we're good to go. We're about to start the show in here just a minute. Zeb's going to walk in any minute now. But I saw the timer running down, and I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. Plus, so chat, let's just talk here for a second before we kind of get into the nitty-gritty of today's top headlines. What do y'all do? What do y'all do? I mean, don't dox yourselves, but what do y'all do for, like, Zeb and I were talking because, as you know, there was big news over the weekend, and Zeb and I had an impromptu live show on Saturday, and we were talking before the show started, basically saying, are we going to get any viewership? I know our viewership is pretty consistent, but we're fairly consistent about dates and times. Saturday is a little bit of a new territory for us. But y'all were popping off on Saturday, and you're pretty much popping off every day. What do y'all do? Give me a little bit of a description. And I mean, don't dox yourselves, obviously. I know some people are using pretty much their real names. What up, dude?
You already started?
Well, the timer was running down, and they were popping off in the chat. I thought I'd just get us rolling. I figured you'd be in and say, dang, man, you got like 8 sandwiches there.
I know, dude. I'm hungry. I didn't eat lunch.
That's fair. Hold on. Let me hand you the. Look.
Was it really 5 minutes? That was quick. Sorry, chat.
Yeah, it went. Where's all our regular stuff?
What are you talking about? What are you looking for?
Like the side by side.
Just go ABC. Go.
Okay,
A.
you change it. There we go.
Boom.
There we go. Here, I'll hand you the mouse. I'll let you take the wheel here for a second. We were just talking crap about you behind your back.
I might give it to you so I can eat a sandwich or two.
That's fine. I'll take it. But I was just asking the chat. I was
like,
"They're
New York, kumbaya."
1989. I was asking the chat before you got in here. I was saying, we went live on Saturday, weren't expecting much interaction, but the chat was there talking about how they're pretty consistent. So I was like, what do y'all do? What kind of jobs you have? 1989 theology, diesel mechanic.
Nice, dude.
So what are we in your ear or something? Or are you watching? How's this work?
I tell Josh every time after the show, I said, we got a solid crew that watches us pretty consistently, and we really appreciate it. Ninja said civil engineer. That means he doesn't do anything.
Ninja's a civil engineer? Where'd he say? Did he say that?
Yeah, logistics professional. They don't do anything.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. Jack, give me a job doing nothing. A bunch of do nothings around here. I'm kidding.
A lot of creative directors in chat. Josh
Project managers.
It is Hispanic. I like America, but love tacos. All right. 1989 theology headphones, bro. Yeah. I love to hear. That's how I do most of my listening. American Crusader commented on your haircut. That's pretty much what I said.
What did you say?
He said Nazi haircut.
My mustache.
His wife likes it that way, though.
She don't like my beard. I can't shave my beard though, or my mustache.
Chris B's a full-time APAC handler. You're busy now, man. Well, I guess, yeah, he watches our show to get the inside scoop on all the anti-Semites. Jim from Florence.
Says, professional Twitter shit poster. What's his handle? What's your handle? Out yourself, Jim.
Do you go by your real name?
Obviously not.
Loco Me Gusta says he's going to get lynched here. Probably.
Josh,
I mean, just give it time.
Are you behind? I'm here. I guess here's what we have. Here's what we have, guys. We have our own personal Sadiq Khan. You want Sadiq Khan? Josh, we have a Sadiq Khan at home now. Congratulations.
Yippee.
It's what happens, dude. It's what happens. We're gonna dive into a lot of this. We got a lot to look at. I have a YouTube video I want to react to. The guy does really good work. I haven't watched the actual video, and he posted this video maybe a couple weeks ago, a month ago, kind of breaking down the advertising, the marketing campaign of the Zoran. How you pronounce his name? I keep wanting to say Zohan. You ever seen Zohan?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
I keep wanting to say Zohan. I was like, dude, how do we have...
You don't mess with the Zoran. I didn't even realize, because apparently, I don't know if you saw that video from I don't know how I'm going to go, but he was the dude that was screaming at Tom Homan in New York. You know what I'm talking about? Like Tom Homan was in New York for something. He was walking through City Hall, and this brown dude was just screaming at him. That was that dude. And I didn't realize that he was a mayoral candidate, but I was like, if I had known then, it's clear what that was. You know, he was just some
No, didn't know that.
Ginga.
Like I said, am I going to get lynched here?
Probably. Just give it time.
Yeah, stick it out. We like tacos.
I like tacos.
Taco close enough. I don't know.
Look,
you might be okay.
If we can figure out how to get to the moon, you know, just give us the recipe and go home. We do love you though. Keep watching the show though.
Primarily railroad design for land development. Yeah, nothing.
When's the last time you took a train?
Dude, we used to go to Charleston twice a year with my grandma when I was 10, 12, 15 years old.
Okay.
And it was an enjoyable ride. It was like a tradition almost. I can't imagine riding a train right now. I'm so glad we don't have public transportation like the Europeans do, or the New Yorkers.
I thought I actually looked into that, like cross country travel by train.
Adam,
it was about a plane ticket from Charlotte to LA versus a train ride from Charlotte to LA was about a 200% more in price and a week to get there. Feel like I'm an old prospector.
A week on a train? That's a long time, dude.
It seemed like its final calculation was in minutes as opposed to days.
Oh,
but it was like several thousand minutes, and I was like, all right, well, I'm not doing that.
All right, we're gonna get into some of this stuff. The primary position of the show today is going to be comparing boomers to the Pharisees, right? And so I put this out on Twitter. I didn't really explain it, but I think a lot of people got it. And in almost every way, they are comparable. The Pharisees took the law and they applied it as they read it, right? They didn't, and the intent was they disregarded the spirit of the law. And boomers do the exact same thing with the Constitution. They disregard the spirit of the Constitution. Now, me and Josh couldn't really care that much about the Constitution. But what we do understand is that if you apply it, it must be applied as it was meant to be applied, not at the letter of the law. I do the thing because it tells me to. No, you preserve the thing because your grandfathers and their grandfathers built it for it to be preserved, right? That is the spirit of the thing. And so these boomers, and we're going to get into it, some of them aren't even boomers, man. They're 30, 40 years old. And so it's a call-in show.
I will say this. The telephone, you know, they say the camera adds 10 pounds. The telephone subtracts like 20 years off your voice. Does it? Oh, yeah. There's people calling in that I'm like, that guy's got to be 30. I meet him in person. They're like 70 years old.
Wow.
There's something about the voice. And it makes all white women, well, it's probably all women just of different racial groups, but all white women sound exactly the same over the phone. All ages, unless they have an accent, they sound exactly the same.
Well, we're going to dive into that. We got a lot to react to on that one. So, but the entire concept is, excuse me. Not only, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, your analysis, this is just kind of between you and me, and they just get to hear. When you had texted me about like the Pharisees, I'm not even kidding you. I was thinking the exact same thing. Literally, like I was thinking they hold the Constitution like the Pharisees hold the law. Literally, like before you texted it to me.
They do. They do. And it's in arrogance too is the issue. American Crusader says maybe you only have one caller ? No, we're going to be reacting to.
Not a caller on our show.
Not a caller on our show. This is a radio show that is relatively local. It gets a lot of pull from across really the world, but across the mostly the eastern United States, and they have basically open calls like we do, but they have a much larger audience. But the problem is the audience is who MAGA is, who they're trying to placate to, kind of.
Boomer, MAGA, Southern evangelicals.
So stick around for that, and we're going to kind of go over what they were talking about today, and then I guess we'll get to that and skip around a little bit. But yeah, they're perfectly willing to sacrifice everything their fathers worked for on the back of something that isn't even concrete. They're perfectly willing to sacrifice the spirit of their forefathers for the sake of tolerance. Like, the question is, so there's a saying that goes, there's a thought that stops thought, and that's the only thought that ought to be stopped. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And in the same way, 100%. You can say, is there intolerance for intolerance? Like, should you tolerate intolerance? And I think this is what should be applied here. If you tolerate intolerance, then it only becomes intolerant. In the same way as if you allow legals to come into the country that are intolerant of your values or your Constitution, then you are degrading the Constitution necessarily. And so to apply that concept of the Constitution mandates that you are intolerant of people that do not value it. And again, I do not worship at the feet of the Constitution. But the people that do worship at the feet of the Constitution are the ones that are perfectly willing to allow people in that burn the flag and they burn the Constitution, and they don't care about any of this. Any symbolic Americanism idea, they are perfectly willing to throw into the fire, even New York itself.
I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. I want to kind of recap.
I had to go off because that's what I was.
I know. But this is so just to explain to y'all.
These call-ins are crazy.
Just to explain to y'all, this is what we're going on. And Jim from Florence, I want to give him some credit because what we're talking about, and I've mentioned this before, I work for a radio show. Today, we're not going to say the name because we're going to be reviewing some of the content on it today. And I don't want you guys to call in and get me in trouble, but because I still work there. But basically, a problem you hear, we have so many problems facing us today, and a lot of you guys understand this. We have problems with immigration. We have problems with, like social problems, economic problems that stem from the social. And basically, the typical boomer take on this is that, okay, the left are disregarding the Constitution. All these immigrants come here and they don't assimilate. What's the solution? We need to get back to the Constitution. The problem, though, is that doesn't actually fix the problem. What are you doing? That doesn't actually
fix. Where are you at? There you go.
Me?
Okay, found
that
you.
Doesn't actually fix the problems that we have because, and this is what Zeb and I talk about. The Constitution was written by the founding fathers for the nation, which is distinct from the country, for the nation that existed at the time. The nation, we now have become a country comprised of many different nations. And the more other nations come into this country, they're changing the underlying nation that created that country. America as a country came into existence in 1776. America as a nation existed far prior to that. They immigrated here from Europe, from England specifically, and then over time, due to the separation of the Atlantic Ocean and just the problems and whatnot that we faced here, it's very, very similar, but it became a distinct nation. In the same way, Zeb, you talk about how the North and the South we're both part of America, but we are essentially two different nations. That's absolutely true. And I know I'm kind of recounting the point I made this morning, but I doubt we want to
Josh
replay
went off
it.
this morning.
Yeah, I was going off this morning. But yes, as Josh I says, or L, probably I, it was a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant country. That is who the Constitution was written to and for. The more you get people coming over here to leech off of the resources and productivity brought about by our ancestors, they come here. They're not here to assimilate. They're here to suck. They're here to digest what we have been given. And they're not even trying to hide it. They're not even trying to hide it. And the problem is what's the solution that we hear from our own people that descended from the founders? Well, if we could just get these third world Muslims, Somalians, Ugandans, if we could just get these people that come from dysfunctional countries, if we could just get them to adhere to the First Amendment, the Second, Third, Fourth, Fifth, if we could just get them to adhere to the Constitution, then everything would be hunky-dory. Wrong. It's not a question of they were talking about this morning. It's not a question of a civics test. They are fundamentally different. And that is something that cannot be changed by with a class, with several hours at school or a test. It is fundamental to who they are and who we are. And this is clear. We don't hate these people for it, but it's perfectly okay for descendants of the people that founded this country to wish to oppose the nation that the founders come from being destroyed. And that is what the immigration is doing. And the solutions being proposed, like going back to the Constitution, it's not enough. The Constitution was a tool used by the founders to govern white Anglo-Saxons. The Constitution is being subverted. It's being subverted all the time. It's being subverted at every turn by the left. And then the solution as well, if they would just so the Constitution has rules. If only the left would obey the rules, okay, but they're not. What are you gonna do? And then they say, well, this is the worst part. This is the worst part. There's virtue in adhering to the system. There's virtue in adhering to the rules the founders set.
What system?
Not really.
What system? There's not going to be one anymore.
Exactly. Our virtue, and this, like Sam Hyde's quote. There's no argument to be had. The say, I want to fight for my people. I want to fight for my descendants, which are distinct from the people coming here. And that's all that matters. I don't need to convince the new mayor of New York, Tajikistan, that of any, and here's a great, he got here 6 years ago. 6 years he's been in America, and he has more power than any of you, than me, than Zeb. He is the mayor of the biggest city and one of the most prosperous cities on planet Earth that has ever been. Why? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if you told a New Yorker from September 12th, 2001 that a Muslim would be running the city in 2025? Can you imagine that? It's bananas. And the problem is like, of course, like, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't the Muslims come here and try to run everything? Why wouldn't the Somalians come here and try to take power and change the country into theirs? They don't know any better. Like they're not smart enough to realize that their societies, their culture is dysfunctional. So they come here and try to assimilate. You gotta, like, look, I'm a Christian. I'm not saying we need to kill anybody. I'm not saying that. We need to peacefully deport these people, but you got to start thinking of these people as like a fungus, like an invasive species. Don't try to argue with them. You just got to remove it. You just got to remove it. And I'm not saying make slime mold fungus go extinct, but we just got to get it off of our property. We got to get it off of our yard. We got to say, look, I like my house the way it is, not with vines and roots growing all over it. And that's what we're getting. So, did someone say go off?
I'll let you go, dude. Let you go. I want to catch up on chat because chat had a couple of points, especially Loco.
I saw the thing was going crazy.
Maybe I can address it. We've addressed a lot of this in our previous shows. Has Seth Trooper been here before?
Seth Topper? Yeah, I've seen him before.
Sorry. Well, welcome back, brother. no succession will happen. No,
That's not going to happen.
It's no.
And that
the first time it was baked into the Constitution. It's not anymore. They fixed that. It would be if secession happens, it would just be a complete fallout. Like the federalism would just not exist anymore. Where are we going?
I don't think that's even ideal.
I don't think so either. Do you have problems with Mexicans?
Depends on what you mean
if they're
by
in
problems.
my country.
Well, and that's the thing is it's like I don't know where you're from.
I don't want more problems. Not that Mexicans are a problem, but non-Americans being in America are a problem.
Yeah. In the same way, there was an article and I remember reading it in 2021 about how there was a lot of white people setting up shop in Mexico City. In Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And the government and the people of Mexico were upset that basically the white people were pricing Mexicans out of the Mexican capital or a prevalent Mexican city. And here's the thing. That's totally justified. Absolutely fine.
Good on them.
We should be doing the same thing. Correct. It's totally fine for me to want to go to a store in the town that I grew up in and see people that look like me, hear people speaking English, because that's who created this country. There's a reason we're not flooding into Mexico, because Mexico is just not good comparatively. They come here to leech off the system, and it's totally fine and ideal for us to wish to oppose that.
We're going to address that. I know we made another comment. We'll get to it when we get to it. Nations pre-exist countries. Correct. It's the same thing as the concept must exist prior to a word being applied to it. Right. So the thing is a nation. The nation is a concept in the same way that a word is a country. You have to have the concept before you can apply a label to it. And a country, all a country is a label of the nation itself. Ninja said, no, Mexico is for Mexicans. Correct. I mean,
absolutely.
That seems self-explanatory to me, Josh.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
I don't want to kill Mexicans. I just want them to be in Mexico.
Loco said, y'all whites have your internal whites that suck also. Don't talk like everyone except whites don't suck. Agreed. Completely agree. We don't disregard this. But why does acknowledging that this is a thing then validate everyone else coming to suck off the system? That'd be like me going outside and putting my toe in the river and I get a leech on me. And say, oh, I got a leech on me. Let me jump in. That doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. And you don't hate the leech.
Loco said, you sound like whites are better humans than non-whites.
No, but
it depends on how you define better.
Yeah, we're all equal in the eyes of God, but we're clearly better at building functional countries. We're clearly better at innovating, at maintaining infrastructure, that kind of thing, because you just don't see that kind of stuff going on in South America. You don't see it going on in Africa. You don't see it going on in East Asia. And the people that are immigrating here are in large part not coming from functional countries. There's a reason Swedes aren't flocking to America. It's because they're perfectly content in Sweden. Mexicans, other Hispanics from down south are coming here because their countries are dysfunctional. And we basically provide them a golden ticket to leech off our system and suck wealth out of the country and send it back home. Or they just, even if they're not sending it back home, they're just coming here because it's a better life. It's objectively better. Loco me gusta. Again, nothing against you or Mexicans in general, but I mean, do you live in America? If so, type your address in chat for no particular reason.
I have a phone number. I have on speed dial. I'm just kidding. He says, well, he doesn't bow down to Israel. We're going to dive into this.
Perfect.
There was a debate, and he was the only one that didn't capitulate to Israel. But in the same way, in the same election, the Jews of New York overwhelmingly voted for him. So you tell me, You tell me. They would rather vote for a socialist Muslim to run New York than go with an Italian American.
That's something to be said, because basically, and then we've hinted at this before, but there's something you need to understand, that a deeper quality about the Jewish people is they are inherently self-destructive. They're incredibly spiteful.
They're only self-destructive when it is not their home.
That's a fair point. Like they
would never do this to Israel.
They're incredibly, what's the word, like meticulous, litigical, and they plot. You know, they're plotters. But more than that, they are spiteful, and they would rather see a place burn than succeed that could help them. That's why they're willing to let a war in Iran crash the U.S. economy, even though the U.S. is their number one backer. And they go, well, that doesn't make any sense. And they're like, oh, you're right. They hate white people and Christians more than Muslims.
Logo said, so you want me out of the U.S.? I mean, I don't know you personally, but if you're non-American, then generally, yes.
Yeah.
Now, there's obviously a list of priorities of who needs to be deported first, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess when it comes down to it, if you're here illegally, most definitely. If you're here legally,
ideally, but that's
probably depending on other factors.
Yeah. If you're a contributing member of society, I mean, you still should go.
You might get an extra couple years.
You're not high on the priority list.
Breakout says, just say non-Americans are a problem.
They are.
Non-Americans are a problem in America.
We're not tiptoeing around this. That's absolutely the case.
And then we've defined America many times on this podcast. If you go find that one, you'll probably be happy. Breakout, is that first time here? Welcome.
Breakout? Yeah, I think so.
How dare you want diversity in your own hometown? Yeah, dude. I just want... See... We had Jack on the show Friday.
Mm-hmm.
There's a clip of him on Twitter actually doing decent.
Good.
But Jack said, I would deport everyone except myself. And then I wouldn't have to pay taxes but to myself. And then I wouldn't have to govern anybody but myself.
I know where you're going with this.
He was being kind of facetious saying that.
Yeah.
But the concept applies. The more homogenous the thing is, the more you see yourself and other people around you, the more you see yourself throughout the nation, the more you see yourself in the nation, the easier it is to be a part of the nation. And the further you get away from that, the more separation and disdain you have for everyone else around you. And this is just natural. It's okay to feel that way.
Loco me gusta. Interesting comment.
This one?
Yeah. Do you have the right to live in the White House?
Do you have the right to live in my house? The answer is obviously no.
Do I have do me and a million other white people have the right to price out the locals out of Mexico City? Even if on paper we have the ability to, should that be done?
You're invoking rights that just don't exist, and two, aren't rights.
I mean, Donald Trump has the right to be the president because he was voted in. If a all-encompassing army with guns came in and moved him out of the White House and just deposed him, would he have the right to be president? Is he the right to be the president? It's whoever can enforce. It does, in a certain sense, it does come down to might makes right.
You're invoking power. This is exactly correct. And me and Josh kind of opposed the Iran bombing the other day, but does Donald Trump have the right to glass Iran? Sure. That doesn't make it right.
He has the ability
for power.
He has the ability to
with the word that doesn't apply.
Do we have the right to freely associate with whoever we want? Do I have the right to start? Do I have the right to start an apartment complex and not let a certain demographic in because they have a history of bad behavior? Do I have the right to not let an African family rent in my apartment complex because they're messy?
So right,
or because it's a risk.
So rights of 64 would say no, Josh.
Exactly.
Because it override the Constitution. Because the Constitution is not the law of the land. You two are using strawman arguments. I'm not. I like you. I like you, Gusta. You've been in the chat before. You're a good guy. I do like you, but I think a good majority of people don't know what that even means. You treat your neighbor as yourself, you crazy atheist fascist. Well, you have to define neighbor. I'm actually giving a speech on this Friday. Is the Order of Loves, and I'm taking Thomas Accord's encyclopedia, and I'm gonna pull a bunch of quotes from that. If anybody don't have this, go grab it. Now, there's actually a leather edition that he came out with right after I bought that thing. So, but yeah, a lot of this is bound on definitions. You keep using words that you want to apply extremely liberally, like neighbor. Just because you live beside me doesn't make you my neighbor.
Mm-hmm. And here's
just
the
because
thing.
you live in my house doesn't make you my family.
And here's the thing. Second, I don't know about you down here, Zeb, but like I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and second or third generation Hispanic immigrants are actually like really cool. Like, and they're good people. Like I actually think a lot of Hispanics are good people. It's not that we think less of you, but the problem is we have a sense of homogeneity. We need to have a sense of homogeneity. There's nothing wrong with that. And on top of that, the level of immigration that's going on now, let's just start with that, is making it possible for the new immigrants to not assimilate. Because there are some
I noticed that too.
Yeah, there are some good cases. Like, and again, I'm not saying absolutely everyone has to go back. That's even in our
Fuentes has
area.
To go back.
Eventually, he's high on the in list. Maybe he could buy his citizenship, but
$5 million get you a golden ticket. But Loco, first of all, appreciate you engaging in the chat. Here's what you have to understand. We have a little bit of an advantage because we're not limited by characters. 1, 2. I am not going to withhold what I believe to be true because you feel a certain way. And so, I mean, take that however you will. I will give you what I think regardless. I'm not going to grift. I'm not going to lie to you. Whatever comes out, comes out. I am not inauthentic in any way. I don't think I am. I feel like we both come across this way. So again, appreciate you for engaging in the chat.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. In some ways, can you pull up Jim from Florence's last comment? Because it's kind of important to what I'm saying. In some ways, the people I'm describing, second and third generation immigrants that exist now, they almost like are better at assimilating than African Americans or American blacks. They have a little bit more pride in the country than some of those people do. But again, that's kind of the point. Is do we need to sacrifice our country to preserve the few that are the good ones, so to speak? And again, we're not even following our advice. It's like, I mean, look, I like you, Loco. I appreciate the engagement. You're clearly like, you're having a little bit of fun with it. But like, you're not white. And I don't really need to convince you of my beliefs. You're not an American.
All right, we went pretty hard. Here's what we're going to do. I want to take a look at, another thing, just for the record, the Carmelo Anthony case, he's being indicted on first-degree murder. So whatever video that they have out there, Josh, you were going to say something about that yesterday, but Whatever video they have out there
we'll do it today.
is bad. If they're indicted on first degree, it's basically a guarantee. So he's still out there running around free.
Yeah, they better catch his because Mama gonna put him in a trunk and send him over the. He's gonna send him to Mexico. Should I? I'll just go ahead and do the thing I was gonna say yesterday real quick.
Go for it.
Think it's cool. Okay, so here's my quick take. Probably not so quick about the Carmelo Anthony thing. We were talking about this video. Allegedly, there's a video caught where that catches, at least in a certain aspect, the confrontation between him and Austin Metcalf. We keep hearing about this video. I remember Zeb sent me a story about it like a couple months ago. You know, it was a little while back. And here's my thing about that. We don't really need it. So for all the people out there who already agree with him, who already know that what's his name, Carmelo Anthony is guilty, that's kind of the point. Is we don't really it's wait till the evidence comes out. The evidence is already out there, and I don't have a picture, but so just look at the pieces of evidence we have so far. You have a white boy and a black boy. One's dead, one's not. The white boy's dead, the black boy's not. Look at his face. Look at the family's reaction to everything going on. Look at their spokesman's reaction. Look at his rap sheet. And look at the fact, here's the main piece of evidence. There is a young white boy 6 feet below the ground with a hole in his chest. And the black kid is free. We know he did it. We know he did it. Everyone knows he did it. There's nothing that can come out that can make it more obvious. I mean, obviously a video would help, but that's why they're keeping it hidden because, the thing, let's just be honest. Innocent until proven guilty, sure, he's guilty. We all know it. So let's just move on. And by move on, I mean throw his ass in jail forever. That's what I mean. Quit. Everyone wants to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's black. It's really because of that we know he did it. Racial, he's a 17-year-old, I think. Racial tensions are at an all-time high. Look at his family. Look at everything. He did it. We don't even need the video. He's guilty. Let's throw him in jail. Give him a pickaxe. Make him turn big rocks into little rocks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll wait on that. Yeah. We'll wait on that case to finish up. But I mean, I think everybody knows the outcome of this. I want to know about this New York news.
Yeah, I know. We're kind of.
Kevin said self-defense.
Damn, it is hot in here.
No, it's
blow
not
out the
self-defense. Let me address this from Loco, and then we'll go from there. Loco asked a question, basically, if we only want whites in the country, do we keep the trans that fiddle with kids? And the answer is
jail.
The answer is yes, but they're not free. They get they can catch a millstone around the neck. And they can find some water. That's where they go. Diddy got out free. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah. Diddy they dropped all charges or something insane. So
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know enough about the Diddy situation, but to me, that's...
Me either, but he needs to be in jail.
I think he needs to be in jail just because he's black. I don't actually know.
That's a bit much.
Hey, that's a record breaker right there, where I got Zeb to say that one of my takes was too much. That's crazy.
That's a bit much.
No, I'm kidding. But to me, I don't know. What could Diddy have done that was worse than Epstein? I think it's probably a little bit overblown, but I don't know. I don't know anything about the Diddy case. It's not as interesting to me as Epstein, which we're never going to hear about because that was actually consequential. I wouldn't be surprised if the Diddy thing was a psyop to distract people. But anyway, well, yeah. I had no idea. I mean,
that's definitely a discussion that could be had, but
anyway. a lot of the was he just gay and was having sex with dudes? And holding black entertainers hostage with booty sex videos?
I think so. Anyway,
so what? They're
we're done with Diddy. We're done with Diddy. I don't want to talk about Diddy anymore. I just want to kind of throw that out there. Said they dropped the charges. Congratulations, he's out free. We just released felons free now. Whatever.
Is that the mayor?
That's the mayor. All right, so this is this YouTube channel is Eric Havigeman. I don't know. He is on Twitter and he does some really good work. Also on his YouTube. I haven't watched this video yet. We're gonna watch a few minutes of it just to check it out, and then we'll dive into some of the other stuff.
All right, so if you haven't heard, there is a socialist Muslim Indian rapper, former rapper, who was raised in Central Africa, who is running to be the next mayor of New York City. And with just a couple of weeks before the primary election, polls are showing that it's not just possible, but it seems like there's a pretty good chance that he's going to win and become the next.
He posted this 10 days ago.
New York City. I've been championing. I've been supporting him for a while, and his name is Zoran Kwame Mamdani. His mom is a revered Indian filmmaker, and his dad is a Central African anthropologist whose work I actually leaned very heavily on to make a video about Congo, which you should watch after this video. I don't know where I'll link it, but somewhere up there. But I'm assuming since you clicked this video, you probably already know at least a little bit about Zoran's platform. So let's cut to the chase and talk through the magic of these videos, including a little surprise, ultra rare video at the very end.
New York is suffering from a crisis, and it's called halalflation. Today, we're going to get to the bottom of this. How much does a plate of halal cost right now from this truck?
$10.
Okay, so if you live in New York City, you know that this is one of the most pervasive issues, like just normal everyday issues that you don't have in effectively any other city on the planet. If you talk with someone from like, I don't know, suburban Minneapolis or whatever, they're not talking about halalflation. But the issue is you go to a halal cart and you try to get a, chicken over rice, lamb over rice type of thing. And just like this thing right here, it's like $10, sometimes $12, which is insane because just a few years ago, it could have been as cheap as like $5.
Is this
but now
guy, like,
it's
who is this
more
guy?
than doubled in price. And
I think he really briefly kind of skimmed over. He said he supported.
I was gonna say, like, I thought this guy.
I don't know if he's American though. Well, I guess he would.
Well,
be.
here's the thing.
I guess he would have
he's
to
talking about the New York mayoral race, and he's making his video like 6 inches from his bed. So I wouldn't be surprised if he lives in New York.
Probably.
Fighting that everyday issue that so many people feel. High, where there's this class of people who exclusively make their income by jacking up the price of having a roof over your head. And it makes sense because in that case, of course, it's much worse. But the point is, if you have that constant overhead cost, in this case, of course, it's rent. But in the case of halal carts, the fee that you have to pay to some jackass in the middle between you and the city government, yeah, of course, you're going to have to increase prices. You could have someone like Whitney Tilson who stands in a Costco and goes, oh, well, actually, my solution for the high grocery prices is to bring in more Costcos.
Hasn't said a single.
The title of the video is why his videos are about to change politics forever. And I think maybe he'll get to it eventually, but it seems like it's just more authentic looking. Like he's just better at acting on camera than some of the others.
He's young. He's a little bit more hip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Word about them. If you own the permit, then how much would you charge for the plate?
$7, $8.
If I was the mayor, I'd be working with city council from day one to make halal $8 again.
I'm not kidding. If he were to run solely on this one issue, make halal $8 again, I guarantee he could get at least 10% of the vote.
Fíjense, nadie sabe pronunciar mi apellido. Es Mamdani, pero
Es Mamdani, pero a cada rato me dicen Monari. When this video came out, there was so much backlash from insane organizations like the New York Post, who said that he used like a...
Rightly so. I don't know if the New York Post... I mean, you shouldn't be able to run in any election and speak another language in an advertising campaign. That, by definition, is subversion of the American people. You are bypassing the channels of English to speak to a people that are not native.
To do this or something like that, which is hilarious because they released the behind the scenes afterwards, and listening to him trying to perfect his Spanish, it's hilarious.
Pero en estos días. Sorry. Construir 200,000 viviendas nuevas y permanentemente no tiene que asegurarme. I have no idea.
So 50.9% of residents of New York City speak only English. However, that means half of residents.
I think if
that is a problem. Only 50% speak English?
in New York. Is that what that said?
Yeah. That's crazy numbers.
Maybe. Israel, maybe we do need another 9/11. No, I'm kidding.
We're going to talk about 9/11 too.
I'm kidding. I'm starting to sound like the boomers now. But
well, we're going to talk about 9/11 too, because everybody was like, "Oh, I'll never forget. 25 years ago, we had 9/11, and now we have a Muslim mayor." We're going to dive into that. Maybe that is the reason why we have a Muslim mayor.
Because of 9/11?
Yeah.
You're right. We'll get into it.
Not speak English in their household. And of that half, 50% of those speak Spanish. That's almost 2 million residents out of 7.8 million total who only speak Spanish at home. Having a video like this in which you can communicate so directly with the populace who you are trying to represent and trying to not just like...
Josh, what I literally said yesterday, all you have to do is stop and speak. We would just stop and frisk and just kind of twist it a little bit. Stop and speak. If you can't hold a conversation in English, you got to go. Where to? I don't care. But you got to go. You can't stay here. 50% of people would be deported in New York. Should be deported in New York. That is insane numbers, dude.
You want to drop the price of halal carts? Well, there will be no halal carts when Zeb and I are done. But you want to drop the price of housing and food? Get rid of all the beans, including you, Loco, and get rid of all Muslim, like anyone that can't, like Zeb says, anyone that can't hold a conversation in English, automatically gone.
Done. That's insane to me. 50% is retarded.
Pander to them, but win their vote, earn their vote, show them that like, you care about them, so much so to the point where you're willing to sit down and learn some lines in Spanish. That's insane. That's incredible. You can see
this guy's in support of him, which is whatever. I mean, the guy does good work, whether I agree with him or not. And see, this is a problem with a lot of people, not you, Loco, thank you for sticking around, is that just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean that you can't appreciate their art, right? You separate the art from the artist. What was it yesterday? We were talking about we were talking about the perception of somebody else's perception. I mean, yeah, we have to take a 30,000 foot view, see what everything's going on, and then try to assess as we go.
I was talking about that at work today. Like, I like Bernie Sanders. He's genuine. He's likable. I like Joe Biden. Joe Biden was a likable guy.
Which one?
I like his
building
tumors.
behind him,
no,
right? There's some pretty direct light. By the time this video is over, it is literally nighttime. It is literally nighttime. Like, very clearly, this took him hours to learn the lines, learn the Spanish, practice. That shows his commitment to the bit, and that is something that we get. Like the aunties are going to be sending this around. They're going to be going nuts. Seeing some goofy American, New York, really impressed that he's speaking a different language. But Zoran actually has a little bit of history of doing just that.
Is he referring to Zohar when he said he's a goofy American?
He knows, and he's played this up very well, that this type of video is going to go nutty in the WhatsApp group chats. Like, the aunties are going to be sending this around. They're going to be going nuts. Seeing some goofy American, New York City mayoral candidate speaking your native tongue that basically no one in politics in America speaks in is a huge deal.
Yes, it is a huge deal. I agree with that. A huge problem deal.
New Yorkers मुश्किल से afford कर रहे हैं रोटी, कपड़ा और मकान. मैं ये सब बदलने के लिए लड़ रहा हूँ. Rent free, universal childcare और सस्ती groceries के जरिए.
There it is. It hits.
All right, I got a quick question for you. Would you do this? Would you subject yourself to speaking in different languages to win the presidential race if it was all a ploy and you were going to go Emperor Palpatine and basically like go dictator mode and then expel them all?
Is it justified? I think so. Would I do it? No. I think if it gets to that point, you've already lost. There's no winning an election with however many languages you want to speak.
I'd do it to seize the power. I'd do it to seize the power, and then I'd be like the man in the iron mask. Like I'd live in shame for the rest of my life in exile.
James O'Keefe type run in for an election.
Yeah.
The 3D confetti effect, beautiful. Cinema.
आप जितने ज्यादा लोगों को रैंक करते हो, उतनी ज्यादा आपकी बैलेट और आवाज में ताकत होती है. इसलिए मैं चाहता हूं कि आप मुझे ज़ोहरान ममदानी को
Okay, I think we get it. He speaks.
Oh my God.
It's beautiful.
Is this what I have to do? Is this all I have to do to be New York mayor? Is make some sketchy rap videos in the sub-Saharan Africa and then speak another language or two?
Oh, that was actually in Milwaukee.
I believe it. I believe it, dude.
My beauty, you don't need a dress. Bring it up, yo, you want nana. Hilos ID, jaba nana. Talcum cool kind of mana.
I can't tell if this is a campaign ad or if it's actually him trying to rap. I think it's real.
That's Zoran Mamdani. Whatever you do, do not rank Andrew Cuomo. He's a sex pest. He killed Schlatt's grandma. Like, he killed a bunch of other grandparents as well. He's not a good dude. And listen, if you're wondering,
yeah, this is the thing. I'm not a Cuomo apologist by any stretch, nor Eric Adams. But both of them are better than this.
If your main critique of them is that they're sexist, you score a lot of points in my book.
I don't know, but and we'll get to some of the call-ins, and some of them we're talking about. Stop making us watch this. Yeah, we're done. We're done watching that one. And some of the call-ins we'll get to, they were trying to they're basically arguing for accelerationism without understanding that they're arguing for accelerationism. Like, that's what this is. But accelerationism never works. If you make him mayor of New York, you just lose New York. You don't accelerate to the point where people come to this conclusion. Dude, these call-ins we get to, I know I keep teasing them, and y'all need to stick around for them, but they are brutal. They are damning across the board. I mean, these are people in North and South Carolina that are saying, yeah, just let New York fall. Like, just, we don't care about New York. Or they'll come around. It's like, no, they won't. They don't even speak English. How are you going to convince them when they don't even speak your native tongue? The literally, I don't know if it's official. I think Trump made it the official language. It took 250 years to do that, to make English the official language. But they just, I don't know, this boomer mindset, they just want to see things destroyed out of principle. Like, it's insane. And we'll address each one when they come up. But yeah, that's enough of that for today.
Real quick, before we go to that, go to Loco's last comment. I want to say something about that real quick. You don't want a good leader. You just want a white leader, no matter how degenerate it is. Not true. But our point is that no Hispanic person, no Muslim person can be a good leader for America because they are not American. No white person could be a good leader for Mexico. Well, that's not true. If your goal is to make the country better, then yes. But like to preserve if your goal is to preserve the nation,
why do Mexicans speak Spanish? Why do Mexicans speak Spanish? Loco, why do you use the term loco? Me gusta.
That's
it's not native to Central America. Congratulations, we made your country better. By
then you kicked
invading and colonizing it.
Then you kicked them out, and it's slowly falling back to the Aztec days.
And I don't blame you. I've said on this show many of times that I am a pro-colonist.
I am too.
All right, I got a couple other things. I said we're going to get to 9/11. This is what we're going to get to. Hopefully, I made this new outline. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, we'll be okay. Not really. Let's try this. I don't think this is going to work either. Let me go to the other side. Sorry, chat. Bear with me. This is... I think it's Kirkpatrick. Anyway, he says, also worth remembering that the polls show American opinion of Islam improved after 9/11, especially among conservatives, because from Bush on down, we were screamed at about how great it was, the idea you were encouraged to hate Muslims after 9/11. It is a complete lie. What's the Norm Macdonald quote?
Norm Macdonald, yeah.
He says, why am I forgetting this thing? I'm scared.
Oh.
I don't want another 9/11 to happen because I'm scared of the backlash against peaceful Muslims or something like that. What does he say?
That's pretty much it. Where he's like, oh my God, if another 9/11 happened, think of what happened to the good ones. Something like that.
Yeah, and so this is what we're looking at. This is the chart. We have. I wonder if does my mouse show up over here? Yes, it does. Okay, so we have U.S. views of Muslim Americans improved after September 11th attacks. Percent with favorable views from Muslim Americans. Total from March to November. All of these from March to November, and then they go by political affiliation. But in general, the total is 45% to like 50. Is that 59? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a substantial increase in less than a year. Why, after 9/11, did they push so hard to make Muslims not look like the bad guys? And I would argue that this mayor election is a product of this, obviously on top of immigration. Right? If you stack the two, it said Muslims aren't bad. Immigration is through the roof. Let's just import Muslims. Okay, now you have a Muslim mayor. Like that's like 2 decades apart. Like you get that in 2 decades. Like that is extremely fast. That's within my and Josh's lifetime that this has happened. I mean, New York from when I was born in the early 90s to now is not even comparable.
I visited New York in 2015, and some of the videos I see coming out of it now, it's in 10 years. In 10 years, it has fundamentally been changed. From 2015.
Go say the good will stay in their own country.
Very true.
Mexico belongs to Spain.
Okay.
I think Mexico.
I know we're getting sidetracked a bunch.
Okay, go ahead.
Loco's last comment. Pull that up.
This one?
Yes. The white men loving big booty. White men, hear me out. This is a Jewish psyop. Like white men and Latinas are not a good mix.
Dude,
this
you got
is a psyop.
like
Yes, like they're very good looking. No one denies that. Once they hit 33, 36, they turn into abuelita. Do not fall for this. Stick with white women. And I know all white women are whores now, but you just got to push through it. I'm sorry. It's our burden to bear.
This is what Loco's talking about. AOC's getting thick, dude. She's putting on.
Is that real?
Yeah, that's real. I mean, that,
well,
I mean, that's,
no. I mean, like, is the cutout of her real?
Yeah, the cutout of her's real. Look at those arms, dude. She's getting thick, son.
Yikes, man.
See this, and
are you sure?
100%, 1000%. It's a real image.
I mean, she's already starting to look like Coco or Coco's grandma or whatever. It's crazy.
Why can't I scroll up? It's attached to another. I want to see why can't I scroll up to the other one? Let's try this. Nope, I don't want to do that. That's dumb. Anyway, yeah, I mean that's her. I mean, she's putting on some weight. I would argue that she won her election because of her attractiveness.
Yeah, what are you, nuts? Of course she did.
Obviously did. Well, this is what happens when you have somebody like Paula Anna Luna. This is what you have when Lauren Boebert. I mean, that's the attractiveness of the woman lends to their voter base. Like, what do you think Nancy Mace is doing? She understands this, and so she throws her tits out everywhere. And she placates, says, oh, my naked body's going to be on the screen on the House floor tonight. It's like, you know what you're doing. It's just feminism taken to its logical conclusion gives you OnlyFans representatives in Congress. Like that's what feminism gets you.
Whores.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what they are. They're whoring themselves out. And in that same context, it's not just the women. Okay, that's the same tweet. There's another video I wanted to pick up. 2 seconds, chat. 3, 2. Is it this one? All right. This is Mamdani is his name. Zorhan Mamdani.
Do we care?
Is vowing to impede ICE and has a very high likelihood of being elected in New York City. He's basically already elected. No, with the exception of Bloomberg, no independent mayor has ever won the mayor's race in New York. And given the demographic change, it's definitely not happening now. And anyone that floats that idea is delusional. And they need to be thrown in one of the closed insane asylums that Reagan
Delusional
defunded.
Is a polite way of saying retarded.
Yes, they are retarded. They should not have any say-so in any political thing ever again. They should be stripped of their voting rights if they believe that he is not going to win.
Workers have stood up for a city they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. And it's where the mayor will use...
Why do
He's
why
got
do,
like
why
these
do
dead
all
eyes.
these Browns that are running for election sound like Obama?
He's their North Star.
It's every one of them.
That,
Vivek?
this country
use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism, to stop mass ICE agents from deporting our neighbors.
Mass ICE agents. That's what I want to be. I want to go join ICE, and I just want to call them mass ICE.
And to govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party. We have won because...
I want to create a special forces unit of ICE called the Tooth Fairies that they just go out and beat people's faces in and collect their teeth. We'll start with this guy.
Why is it double sending it to me? This is Matt Walsh. Let me see. Maybe I can make this one work. All right. Oh, it's not working. Anyway, it says we spent 25 years bringing freedom and democracy to countries. What if I click that? It doesn't let me drag it, does it? Nope. That's dumb. Anyway, let me do this. Sorry, chat. I made some new outlines. I'm gonna have to rework them because they're obviously not working like I want them to. We spent the last 25 years bringing freedom and democracy to countries around the globe, while our own country has been systematically invaded, and now our largest cities are run by foreigners and communists. If you want to know why I'm so avowedly non-interventionist, that's why. I mean, just yesterday, Josh, I was told we need to glass Iran because they're Muslim. But today, we need to just allow the greatest city in America to be conquered because my system or my constitution.
Well, that's what the people, lowercase p, voted for.
That's what the people voted for. They ought to vote for the mayor. You know, if they voted for the mayor and they didn't like, if they don't like what they get, then they'll come around in 4 years and vote for a better candidate. Wrong. It doesn't happen. They want to mooch off the system, and so they allow someone in there to allow them to mooch off the system. I mean, one of his cornerstone promises to the people is a city-run grocery store. He's going to... I'm not necessarily against a socialized system of providing.
Me neither.
But I am against wielding it against the nation that it is in of itself, right?
Yes.
It is inherently parasitic. Loco's in there arguing about ICE.
Well, Loco, you say ICE is breaking the law. Funny, like this just goes to show you.
I think he's got tongue in cheek, dude.
Oh, is he? Okay, I was going to say
because there's no way that's real.
Well, because I was going to say, assuming it's genuine, it just goes to show you're more loyal to your own people than the integrity of this country. And that's all we are arguing for. I shot a child. That's funny. No, I'm kidding. And I don't believe you.
Oh no, dude. Okay.
Okay, yeah. He's a troll. He's silly.
This is so retarded. This is Mel. Don't know who that Mel is, but this post got a lot of traction for her, so congrats. This is so retarded. Brooklyn is quite literally the most Jewish spot on earth. The Hadassah magazine's words, not mine. And the Mamadani won it by 17 points. He took every major Jewish neighborhood in New York City by double digits other than Borough Park. He took Crown Heights, home of the Chabad Lubavitch.
Lubavitch.
Yeah, the tunnel builders. World headquarters by 26 points. The claim that Zohran.
Let's just call him Zohan.
Who was literally vowed to make the fighting anti-Semitism a top priority for his administration is himself an anti-Semite is just a bold-faced lie.
He's probably not anti-Semitic.
Check. Can y'all see those numbers? You can't really see them. But basically, he won every Jewish section of New York handedly. Like it wasn't even close. 55% to 29% in Crown Heights. Brooklyn, he won by plus 17. Manhattan by plus 5. Queens by plus 7. The Bronx and Staten Island, which Cuomo won those, but they're, I guess, whatever is left of whites. I think I don't know. I don't know New York that much, but I do know that the argument that he is anti-Semitic and Jews aren't going to vote for him is just wrong. They're suicidal in a host nation because they have somewhere to go to. Everyone that voted for him has right of return.
Mm-hmm.
And right of return necessarily means you have dual citizenship. But the problem is we have nowhere to go. Where are you going to go, Josh? You going to go to England? London's 5 years ahead of New York. Where are you going to go? Germany and get arrested because we post memes on the internet? See, this is the problem. There's nowhere else for us to go. There's no, we're not Mexicans that can flee to America, loco. And this is a major issue. What else? I think I have one more.
Uno momento.
No, I think that's it.
All right.
Chat, y'all want to touch on anything before we dive into the boomers? Dude.
Before we get to the nitty-gritty of today's topic.
Josh, I did a boo-boo. I'm going to show you here in a second.
Uh-oh.
But here's what we have, guys. Here's what we have. We have the boomer. I'm going to steal his mic for a second. We have the boomer. He's going to take himself to the altar and sacrifice a little piece of him at the altar of the Constitution. And they're going to keep doing this. They're going to keep sacrificing themselves at the altar of the Constitution until there's nothing left. There's nothing left. If they keep sacrificing a piece of themselves, and I say themselves, I mean the America that their fathers gave them, the inheritance that they have, they're giving away. They're giving away a piece of themselves, piece by piece by piece, until me and my children and your children have nothing left. And we have to rebuild it ourselves. That's what's happening. Josh, I broke his arm yesterday trying to get him in the outfit. It didn't really work. So now we have sacrifice. This is our sacrifice. This is right hand. That's a useful one. That's a useful hand.
Welcome, Keith. Keith says they're sacrificing their grandkids. And here's the thing. That's
They are.
absolutely what they're doing, and they are too ignorant to realize it.
Well, when I was given the spiel about the Pharisees, I did want to lean into the sacrificing to Molech, but I couldn't kind of blend them together like I wanted to. But yeah, I mean that's basically what they're doing. They're taking their children, sacrificing them for the hope for like this far off hope that there's a God out there that will save America, and his name is Israel, and it's just not going to happen.
If enough American blood sacrifice to Israel is made, then God will save us from. Then He will force assimilate. He will basically upload white souls into the immigrant bodies. That's what they're banking.
You don't think 60 million was enough the first go around?
What are you talking about? Oh, 60 million immigrant? Oh,
no, 60 million.
You were talking about something else.
60 million whites died in World War II.
Oh, okay.
70 million, whatever the number is, something astronomical. So if this is the sacrifice that needs to be given to Israel to save America, what's happening?
Things don't seem to be getting better, but it's gonna happen any day now.
They don't. Let me get this pulled up.
Let's just for the sake of argument, let's pretend maybe for like 50 years that when the Bible says those who bless Israel will be blessed, it's referring to Christians and the church. If we pretend, let's just run a quick experiment. 25 years, 25
let's take a
years.
look at history.
Let's do that and see if there's better blessings then. Maybe.
Well, you don't even have to do that. We don't need the 25 years, Josh. We have 250 years of experience. 170 years, 175 years, we had this idea in our head that Israel was the Christians. And we were prosperous. And as soon as we got this idea in our head that Israel is some current modern day nation state, everything started going down the drain. Stop with the retardedness.
Can you pull up, before we get to it, pull up Jim's comment? Which Jim,
This
I want
one?
to get.
I'm just kidding.
I did think that was funny. Jim, we're about to get into today's show on that other show that you basically started this feud, which I appreciate. It made some good content today. But this is the thing, and I've said this before. My dad, when I was growing up, he said, when you're 18 years old, you're on your own. Because that's what happened to him. His dad said, when you're 18 years old, you're on your own. And my dad put himself through medical school. But by the time I was 18, my dad realized, oh crap, it's the state of the country is not at all like how it was when I was 18. And my dad helped me along. He helped me through college. He helped me through all this stuff. But the sad thing is, there's so many boomers out there that still feel that way. Hey, you, 20-year-old boy, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and then one day you'll be a millionaire just like me, because I inherited all it and the fruits of my grandparents' labors. And I got this generational wealth. You know what that means? We're gonna spend it on cruises till we're in the ground. We're gonna go to Cancun forever. And God, I hope we die before we run out of money. And don't worry about it, grandkids, you lazy pieces of shit. You're on your own. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in the same vein, a lot of this isn't pointed at really anybody as an individual in particular, especially my parents. Dude, I had a fantastic raising. But it is pointed at a generality, a common occurrence throughout a time period, and it just happens to be the boomers. Well, something in the water, Josh. There's something in the water. Loco and Ninja going at it in the chat a little bit. I want to address this one right here. He said, ICE are arresting legal citizens. That's unconstitutional. ICE are breaking the Constitution. That's the foundation. I think it's tongue in cheek, but I do want to address it. And this is this is everything right here. You ready? I don't care. That's the whole purpose of this podcast today. I don't care about the Constitution. We're about to get into it right here where everybody makes an argument that, oh, the Constitution does this, the Constitution this, the Constitution this, the Constitution this. I don't care. The problem is you want to push this constitutionality idea, and it's literally destroying everything, but you don't have the mind to say, oh, the Constitution is allowing itself to be destroyed. Maybe I should either fix the Constitution or disregard it entirely. And we can't fix the Constitution because we've allowed this to go on for so long. You have so many non-Americans that don't believe in the Constitution, or at least the founding of the Constitution as it was originally intended, the founding of the Naturalization of Act of 1790, 1795, 1798. They don't believe in this thing, so when it is amended, it's just they placate to the left. I think somebody was talking early this morning about, no, maybe it was on Twitter. They were talking about making amendments. But the problem is you always compromise to the left. You've never compromised to the right. Let's just try to compromise to the right a couple times, Josh. They would rather see New York literally in flames than say, oh, maybe we should do a little bit of a fascist. Let's do a fascism and see what happens.
Hey, a hypothetical, like even if it was like, let's just make Donald Trump, like, let's give him absolute authority for 10 years. Let's start back in 2016. Let's just do that. That is worse to them than their grandchildren being turned brown and wearing turbans. That is like the idea of a white authoritarian leader is worse to the boomers than their great-great-granddaughter getting raped by Somalians.
Noto says the Constitution was divinely inspired by the founding daddies. I mean, to them,
that's what my grandmother said to me.
No,
I told you. Yeah, she did. On my Saturday show, I love my grandma. She's watching, but the boomers literally believe the Constitution was divinely inspired. She sent me a sermon on it.
I'm going to go out on a ledge and say that is blasphemy.
It is. And that's what I told her. And she goes, well, it's not. And that's what you know who said. He said, it's obviously not equal to the Bible, but it's better than but there's something divine about it. That's what he said to me once. That's what he said on the air once.
This is a problem, boys. This is a problem. We're going to get into some of this. I don't really want to name drop necessarily, but I'm trying to hide everything.
What the hell was that?
Because I don't want y'all calling and being crazy.
Yeah, I gotta keep my job for now.
I'm gonna skip around a little bit. Really, it's not to bash on the show. The show is good.
Yeah,
but it's to get a grasp of the voter base in this area. One, but I think in general, when it comes to what would you say, 45 to 70-year-old white men.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. We're going to skip around. Yeah, Josh goes off later on in this too. We're just going to I want to react to some other callers, not necessarily the host. I just want to...
The callers
give you a feel of what is going on in people's minds. Like if any of them specifically are listening to this, dude, we Zoom on Thursdays. You're more than welcome to call in. More than welcome to call in. Because some of your takes are absolutely brain dead, retarded.
Yeah, and
I don't even know how to process it.
Real quick before we start, this is what I get from my boss all the time. And I'm not saying in a vacuum, this advice is not inherently bad. But what he says is you're too sure of yourself and not open to other people. You're too sure of yourself and not open to other people's ideas. These are the ideas. If this is the idea that they're talking about, I absolutely am. Go ahead.
He had a limp wrist. It was a gay skeleton. He's gay.
The boomers are gay. Fact.
All right. What do you say? If you love me, I'll
Anybody have any concerns? And I mean, Boone he's probably dozing off by now. He's 80 something, and Boone's good. Doesn't matter who the president is. Boone's fine. When the name of your autobiography is the second billion was always the first billion is always two independents that they think has the best chance to beat Zoran Mandani, who is how long has he been an American citizen? About 6 years. He makes Bernie Sanders look like Ronald Reagan. I mean, this cat wants to nationalize grocery stores. Let me say that again.
I don't know what it is, but hearing the recording makes him sound way more Southern than he does in person.
I got to sped up a little bit, but
maybe that's it too. Maybe that's it too. But in person, he has an accent for sure. But like this makes him he'll sound like a good.
I think
your
mics catch the S's a little hard.
That's probably it. I mean, I'm listening through headphones. I'm listening through the mics.
I don't think it sounds the same.
Probably not.
But you seem comparing him to Bernie Sanders in the idea of socialism. The issue isn't the socialism. The issue is he's not American. But you can't say that because it's racist.
I want grocery stores to be under control of the federal government because we have food insecurity in America, and the only way to address food insecurity in America is to nationalize grocery stores. But nobody should be surprised. I mean, this is where New York is headed. We went from, once again, Giuliani to Bloomberg. I mean, Bloomberg was a competent business guy, no doubt about it, and did a lot of good things for New York. But he was not as conservative-minded as Giuliani. Not that Giuliani was a firebrand conservative, but he was an effective leader, manager. That's part of conservatism.
Giuliani brought back stop and frisk. Giuliani fixed New York. Giuliani was the America's mayor.
He was also racist.
But which fixed New York.
Yes. Well, my point exactly.
The ability to manage, to be competent in managing. And then you go to de Blasio. Whoa, but he had a black wife. You know, New York kind of likes that. That's diversity and multiculturalism and a celebration of that. Then we go to Adams. And I mean, to me, the natural next step would have been a self-professed democratic socialist. And we have that now in Zohran,
It's not the, did you see the logic that he was following the logic? He goes, who do you say first? Who are we talking about? Giuliani. He says Giuliani, the America's mayor. Then he goes, de Blasio had a black wife. Then he goes, Eric Adams was black. And then he goes off the rails and he goes, they're going to have a socialist next. Why doesn't it follow that the next one is going to be not American and not black American? Why doesn't that follow? It follows directly.
Of course.
Been a U.S. citizen, Josh, for 6 years. That's fast-tracking a political career, if you ask me. Here's the bad news. You ready?
He calls me out sometimes.
Pawleys Island will be less Southern after this election than it is now. Palm Beach and Pawleys Island. How many New Yorkers with any degree of wealth Googled last night or grokked last night, where's the best place to go if I'm bailing from New York City? And I got to believe, I mean, obviously Palm Beach will be one of the most prominent locations. I believe Pawleys Island will also know. I know Pawleys Island's.
No, they're all going to come to Horry County. They're all coming and moving next door to us, Josh. This is what's going to happen. We have so many Yankees down here. It is nauseating. They don't belong here. They need to go to New York and fix their own home instead of coming here and turning it into the same place that they came from. This is what you have. You have New Yorkers that allow New York to go to garbage. And so they have nowhere to go to. And so they come here and they're going to turn this place into the same place they left from. And you get some that come here and says, oh no, I'm a Republican now. But you're not. You're not Southern. And it makes a difference. These people they're rhinos. They're Republican in name only. They will gladly vote Democrat. Ignorantly voting for the same thing that they just left from. These people don't learn.
They have zero self-awareness.
They don't learn. You have to have Like there's an IQ floor somehow of self-awareness where, like at least like I don't know, maybe it's 90 or something, where you say, "Oh, I just destroyed my home, literally. Let me move to this other person's home and destroy it." Like nowhere in there do they say, "Oh, maybe let me just allow them to continue on in this lovely place that I'm perfectly willing to move to." It's not going to happen.
Because I live it about every weekend.
Well,
Let's go to the phone. Then we'll take a
they
break.
think it's only nice because it's the beach.
Oh yeah, definitely magic. Well, it's not magic dirt; it's magic sand because it's the beach. We got magic sand down here.
Yeah, I think Dave cleared that up. As I understood it, he just won the Democratic primary. But what you're saying is he's probably got a really good shot at being.
Well, unless those two independents, unless Adams and Cuomo can cut a deal, and Wall Street finds him so
There's no deals to be cut, dude. Just look at the numbers. Adams and Cuomo combined wouldn't have beat him. And then you want him to run on an independent ticket? It's just not going to happen. It's delusional. Half of them don't even speak English. How do you expect to get the majority vote when half of them don't even speak English? If they just voted on language lines, you lose. Now stack that with everything else into the general election. No, less people vote in the primary than they do in the general. You stack that against just the language lines. That's not to account for all the Jews voting like 20% into Zohan, whatever his name's camp is. You just can't win on even just the simple fact that 50% of them don't even speak English.
acceptable. They raise, Cuomo spent $25 million in the mayor's race. It was a political action committee largely funded by the Wall Streeters who just don't need to be.
Do we want to skip? Or, is there a specific point in the beginning
I was going to skim through it and get some timestamps, but no, not really. I mean, you tell me. You were there this morning. I just caught the last end of it, and
that's
it
really
irritated me.
That's really where it was popping off.
Okay, we're like last 2 hours.
Try there.
Well, again, they've been trying it.
Sure, if Bernie was faltering or failing, you know what they would have done? It propped him up, and they would have said, "Bernie, do you think Donald Trump sucks?" You know, it's just the red meat question. We got this over here in our back pocket. Well, they're still doing that, Rev. They would carry all the water in the world for the Democrats. But nobody cares what they say any longer. Far more care what Tucker says or what Bannon says or what Rogan says or what Kirk says. Nobody much cares what the Nightly News or some of these prestigious print publications write
pull up the
or say. Their audience is dwindling. Their influence.
Just say when.
We have this thing called the Constitution. Argument: if a Christian converts to Islam, should he be expelled from the country?
Yes.
That's a great question because here's the thing.
That's not a good question at all.
They
have so much money and so much control over our societies, multinational corporations, giving them more control over citizens. And this is a vehicle for that. And this is what's dangerous about this whole climate change emergency. Because it allows these fucking creeps that have been controlling people and controlling what you do and what you say and how you...
Like that.
And Bernie said, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that, but I didn't read that article. Here's what I believe. But why do you believe that, Bernie? But explain why should we trust you to know what the Earth's climate will be like 100 years from now? But CNN would say, well, Bernie has extensive experience in politics and the political orbit has to address this.
Forward button.
I think he genuinely believes that money's corrupt.
Thanks for checking out this archived edition. Thanks for checking out this archived edition of the Wake Up Carolina.
You know what I believe. And China's the biggest. China's the biggest polluter. Well, yeah, China's the biggest polluter. So what is your idea about addressing China polluting, Bernie?
To be used to allow them in here.
Yeah, a little bit.
Let me rewind it like right there.
He has no idea. He has no answer. But if he goes on Meet the Press, he doesn't have to have an answer. If he goes on ABC News, he doesn't have to have an answer because he is the Yankees playing every game in Yankee Stadium. He's the Tigers playing every game in Death Valley, whether it's LSU or Clemson. Take a break. Back in a few. We're back 843-661-0937.
Before Jim jumps on the call, Jim is listening on Josh's channel. He's in the comments. I pulled him up a couple times. But
good dude.
Lord of the Rings says, bro, unironically said, Grok, is this real? Yeah, dude. There's this phenomenon with the boomers also that we haven't really addressed is it's like they glorify AI like it's literally like it's the greatest, like it's God, like it knows everything. And this is a problem. They can't understand that AI is just trained on human input and then rejects or regurgitates what that is. Like, they can't understand that. They think that AI just knows things. And so anything that comes out of AI is just true.
And here's the thing. It basically, because Google's run by an Indian now, it has become a better search engine, but that is all it is. It is no different than Google.
What is this, Josh?
We're about to get into his call, and he's about to basically, he was going to basically bashing Islam and saying this guy should not hold any office in America. Look how savage his religion is.
He shouldn't even be here. But
I agree. I mean, yeah, but we'll get to it in a second. He's about to
Andre in the chat. What's up, brother? As a boomer, sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. Some boomers' opinions do not represent all boomers. Sure, I think we. I address that.
I mean, come on.
We address that. We speak extremely. Oops. That'd be fine. They didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Wait, where'd my?
Please don't call tomorrow and give. Well, I can screen, so.
It got rid of my outline. Okay. Anyway, that'll be fine. Boomers are dumb regarding AI. Yes, they think. I don't know, man. It's so exhausting. It's logo out of slogans. y'all having a battle in the chat. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, guys. Did y'all see the study that shows people who use? Yes, I did see this. There's a study out that says people who use AI too much for small tasks literally become retarded.
Didn't take long.
Yeah, it's like people that rely on AI literally like lose consciousness or something to that effect. Well, I have it bookmarked on my Twitter. We can get to it one day. But yeah, it's I don't know, man. The boomers glorify AI for sure.
Jim in Florence. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. So the thing about this guy in New York, the least that scares me is that he's a socialist, because you can recover from that. But how long did it take the Crusades? 700 years, right? So him being a Muslim, we should absolutely be terrified and take that as a warning sign. Islam is fundamentally, we cannot allow it to fester in this country. We cannot allow the Constitution to be used to allow them in here. Because why would a Muslim be for child sex changes, Ken?
I can't answer that. I'm not a Muslim, nor am I for things.
Dude,
what if a Christian?
This thing, like, I understand you're on the show, and you have an audience that you have to sift through.
Dude, real
quick,
quick, the audience that he is talking to was just advocating to bomb Iran because they're filthy, savage Muslims, but we don't want to offend them.
Literally 24 hours ago. Literally yesterday morning. Yesterday morning, they were calling in talking about they want to glass Iran. Almost every single caller. But now as soon as you have a Muslim win the mayoral race in New York, they're like all in defense of Islam. Like, it doesn't compute, man. These people should not be able to vote at a minimum. Sorry, Jim. Sorry to interrupt.
Convert to Islam.
Okay, but
under your argument, if a Christian converts to Islam, should he be expelled from the country?
That's a great question, because here's the thing.
That's not a good question at all.
I'm good.
Yeah, under your theory, though, if you're a Christian that's a dispensationalist, it's okay to bomb countries on behalf.
Well, I mean, it's a dumb question if you're a Christian nationalist.
He cut him off of the question that he was asked because he knew what was coming, and he cut him off to address the previous question to not allow the next question.
Yep.
I'm rewinding to let y'all hear this question that he avoided. The problem is they don't want to follow their logic to its conclusion. They because it puts them in such a spot that they have to rebuild their entire framework of what they believe.
The country?
That's a great question because here's the
Perfectly
thing.
That's not a good question at all.
The answer is yes,
Yeah,
too.
so under your theory, though, if you're a Christian that's a dispensationalist, it's okay to bomb countries on behalf.
Well, I mean, it's a dumb question if you're a Christian nationalist, but if you're not a Christian nationalist, I think it's a concerning answer.
But the problem is you have to ask the question, why would a Muslim be for child sex changes? And it's simple, because the Muslim's is not going to change their child.
But how do you speak, Jim, with all due, how do you speak for every Muslim?
Like this.
I don't have to speak for every Muslim. No one's speaking for every Muslim. I don't care about the Muslims. You know what I care about, Josh?
Americans.
Christians. I don't have to speak. And I don't have to know what Buddha thought to defend my position.
Hey, a bunch of Christians are moving to my country. I believe in killing my enemies. They're saying I need to forgive my enemies. Whoa, dude! How can you speak for all Christians? It's a doctrine. Also,
as I said,
also racial.
As I said at the very, very beginning of the show, these people are advocating for tolerance on behalf of the Constitution. Even if I take their position on the Constitution, they're advocating for self-destruction. If you tolerate intolerance, the intolerance will consume the tolerant. That's what these people are doing. They know that these Muslims, they know that Mamdani, or whatever his name is intolerant. They know that. But in their own minds, they will sacrifice everything that their ancestors fought for at the altar of this Constitution, at the altar of tolerance. They won't claim it's tolerance, but that's what it is. It's inclusion. It's inclusivity. This intolerance of Islam, disregarding race, this intolerance of Islam will consume, as we have seen, 50% don't even speak English, will consume any tolerance. And so if you are to retain a country in any form, one, you have to have borders, and two, you have to enforce those borders. And enforcing those borders means kicking Loco and his family and his abuelita out.
Yeah, and blanket tolerance is not virtuous.
Sorry, Loco. Catch some strays next time, dude. Yes, blanket virtue is not intolerant.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I don't profess to speak for every Christian, but how do you speak for every person who is of a religion that you're not?
You do profess to speak for every Christian when it comes to real.
Of course I don't. I speak for my personal relationship with Jesus, not yours, not Josh's, not Rev's. It's me and the way I interpret things based on my understanding of my faith.
Because when these Muslims talk, you have to listen, and that's what they say. They know that they vote for Democrats because they know that they're socially that.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with anything fundamentally you're saying, but the Constitution guarantees you the right to be of a religion that you choose.
The Constitution guarantees the destruction of my country because the Constitution says so, even though these people don't care about the Constitution.
They would wipe their ass with it for $8 halal.
They burn the flag for fun.
In our biggest city.
And then they're granted First Amendment to burn the flag. It's like you're burning the First Amendment on behalf of the First Amendment. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't logically flow. This is an IQ floor, and anyone that doesn't get it should not have a pen or a finger click at the ballot box, regardless of not having a democracy or not. I don't care about the democracy part. Even if it is to exist as a democratic republic, if any voting is to remain, these people should not be able to vote. They're too retarded.
Amen, brother.
Just to be odd.
But I mean, well,
and if they're not retarded, they are self-destructive, which is worse.
I would argue that Islam fundamentally isn't a religion. It's an ideology that's counterintuitive to the West. I mean, how old was I?
I'll go here with you. I'll go here with you because we've debated this on the air before.
Yeah, I heard the Aisha.
A Muslim.
He skipped that one too. There's probably a delay. I'll grant him there's a delay on the line.
There is, yes.
But both times it's been very, very questionable questions that followed it.
When a mic cuts, when someone speaks into the mic, it cuts the phone line.
I see.
Who adheres to Sharia law, I think is incompatible with the Western world. But I don't know how you politically address that.
Yeah, you can hear it on
when
this
you've
end.
got a constitution standing in the way.
Well, and there,
Paul. Exactly. You can't. That's the problem. You can't. So what is it? What do we do now? Do we roll over and die and let the country get overtaken by a bunch of sand monkeys? Or do we wipe our ass with the Constitution? I'm willing to do that because I want my grandchildren to sleep in a bed and not worry if some Somalians are gonna bust in the door and rape them, put tires on them, and set them on fire.
But the Constitution allows them to have Sharia law in their own countries, Josh, or in their own counties. You know, if they want to set up a city, they can enforce Sharia law if they want to.
I need to have one of these
self-made
Celsiuses before every show.
Dude, those things slap. Chat, if you don't know, we're on Celsius powder over here.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Coke. I've never tried it. Never tried the Coke, but it feels like it's
too far off. They're going to utilize our values against us, and we're not going to do anything about it.
Jim, I didn't hear this call this morning.
Jim, I could kiss you on the lips.
We do the best we can, but I mean, you can't stop New Yorkers from voting who they choose to vote for.
Watch me.
Fair enough, but what I'm trying to say is we need to utilize it as a warning signal across this country. I mean, look at what's happening.
I don't disagree with that. You're saying there needs to be a PR campaign warning people of where you think we're headed.
Right, and then and the other thing is Christians need to be extremely careful with aligning themselves on these social issues with Islam because they are not our friends. And look what they're doing. I mean, Europe's the perfect example. They are our enemy. All right. And we have to recognize that they seek our destruction. So thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. I get the theory that Jim is advocating. And I stand on the belief that Muslims who adhere to Sharia law are incompatible with Western world, with the Western world and the Judeo-Christian ethic. But we have this thing called the Constitution, and it's not church bylaws. It's how do we govern ourselves? What's right and what's wrong? What's acceptable or not? What's legal or not? I think the best thing to do is change hearts. And
what? I didn't even catch that this morning. That's what I've been saying we need to do for 2 years, and I got my show taken away from me. I don't know what I was doing. I didn't hear that. I didn't process that when he said it this morning. Continue.
I mean, Europe's the perfect example. They are our enemy.
I rewound it a couple seconds.
All right. And we have to recognize that they seek our destruction.
Jim from Florence was cooking this morning.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. I get the theory that Jim is advocating, and I stand on the belief that Muslims who adhere to Sharia law are incompatible with Western world, with the Western world and the Judeo-Christian.
No. Muslims,
period.
Ethic. But we have this thing called the Constitution, and it's not church bylaws. It's how do we govern ourselves? What's right and what's wrong? What's acceptable or not? What's legal or not? I think the best thing to do is change hearts. And the people
do you change hearts, Josh? How do you change hearts?
You get advertisers and you do whatever they want. I hope he's not. Ken, if you are watching, I love you. I'm trying to convince you, man, for your great-great-grandchildren's sake and beyond.
I wish it wasn't this way, dude. I wish it wasn't. How do you convince hearts? How do you convince people? How do you change hearts? Well, one way to do that is to enforce the laws as they are applied, or change the laws. You can drive a culture through legislation.
Yes.
You can say to me, we don't need to legislate morality. And I can say, okay. But we can legislate immorality. And that goes all the way from killing someone to adultery. That goes all the way from rape of a 9-year-old in marriage to polygamy. Like, this isn't hard. We can legislate immorality to drive culture. If you want to change hearts, you can start at the White House. You can start at the Capitol. You can start at the town hall, the city hall. You don't have to start. You should start in your own house, but we don't have time for that. And to say that won't change hearts is delusional, because that's what's been happening for 50 years. We take the Bible out of schools, and what happens, Josh?
Everyone becomes
godless.
A gay faggot.
Yeah. We placate to the equal movement and allow gays to get married. This was 10 years ago. And now we have people advocating pedophilia. You can drive hearts through legislation. This isn't hard. Just open your eyes. You've been doing this for 50-something years, I think. 23.
New York willingly and knowingly voted for someone to be their political leader, not someone masquerading as something other than what they are. And I don't know how you stop that from happening in a representative republic. When people have a right based on their personal persuasions to vote for who they choose to, I'm going to always defend that. It gets us in questionable circumstances and situations, but I don't know how.
If you're in America and you don't even speak English, I'm going to advocate for you to be able to click the thing on the screen for whoever you want to vote for. All you got to do is be here. I don't care if you speak English or not. New York City don't even speak 50% English. That was an incoherent sentence, so I don't even know if I do anymore.
They're rubbing off on us.
But I will fight to the death for your right to vote for the thing, even though it's going to kill me. We're going to die either way. Either I die fighting to the death for you to vote, or you vote for me to die. That's what we're playing with here. This isn't hard. It's not hard.
You tell people in New York you can't vote for this person because they're not a Christian. You can't vote for that person because they're Muslim. You can't vote for this person because a Protestant.
No, he's bringing it back around to religion. It's not religion. It's a proxy for race. That's what this is.
Yes.
Catholic.
They're voting because he is brown.
He's already laid this out when he went through his Giuliani, de Blasio, Eric Adams, and then he goes off on socialism or he goes off on Islam. No. This isn't the logic that flows. You get exactly what you ought to have gotten. It's not hard, man.
I don't know how that the Constitution has to mean something in the orderly way of which we govern ourselves. Take a break. We'll be back in just a few. We're back, 843-661-0937. And what Jim does, it's very interesting and it's provocative because it's kind of a hypothetical. You know, how do you feel about this?
It's not a hypothetical, dude. It literally happened.
Think about that. What I feel and what I think has to be considered in conjunction with the Constitution. I can't form a political opinion void of a belief in adhering to the Constitution. And I'm not.
Exactly. If you can't stop the problem and adhere to the Constitution, you have to then ask yourself, which do you value more?
I think he was accidentally too honest just then. What he's saying
I think he was following a train of thought and booby-trapped himself by accident.
He basically said that he has no agency. This is the boomer. Unless someone like Josh forces the thought to happen, it will not happen itself. And even when it is forced, it is outright rejected because it does not have a foundation of the Constitution. The Constitution is the modern Constitution. On the back end of civil rights is the mind that governs the boomer. If only we could get the boomer to understand that the origination, let's call it 1880 Constitution. If we could underlie everything they thought with the 1880, 1890 Constitution, then we can make some progress.
I agree.
1820.
I'm not saying the Constitution's perfect. I'm certainly not suggesting for a second that the Constitution is perfect. It has been our lighthouse for the last 200.
These are two contradictory statements, dude. You can't say I can't form a political thought without the underlying Constitution and then say that it is a lighthouse. It is either one or the other. And I think the initial thought that he had was more correct in application of how he actually thinks, given listening to him for so long. And I'm not picking on him specifically. He just happens to be the one that puts his thoughts out on the air.
Mm-hmm.
It's rampant, and these follow-up callers from Jim are going to prove this to you. If it was a lighthouse, you would be able to think for yourself and dodge the lighthouse, not drive into it with your ship.
In 40 some odd years, it has led to the advancement of mankind in ways not imaginable.
No doubt
before
about it.
we had a Constitution.
Given us a way of life unimaginable.
I mean, you and I won the ovarian lottery when we were born in a country that has a Constitution.
Pause it real quick. I said this to them off the air because I'd probably lose my job if I said it on the air, but I said no.
So you're gonna do it on air now?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they don't watch this, but
do they?
What? Maybe the Constitution. Well, like I said this to them, like they say stuff off the air, but I won't air that here.
Yeah.
The Constitution is not what led to American prosperity. White Christians are. White people living in white communities, practicing one religion, led to American prosperity.
Christendom.
Yes.
Which is now ovarian.
That's something he says all the time because he's a white male born in America. He won the ovarian lottery. Perfect. So that's good. That's good. The perfect citizen.
Boomers have minimal neural plasticity. I think this is a very accurate statement. It is true.
That's what I was saying yesterday. The brain calcifies the older you get.
It's not only that it's calcified. It's that they've been stuck in front of Daddy used to call it a stupid box. They've been stuck in front of a stupid box with the stupid box telling them what to do their entire lives. And now that they have the internet, they're so lost, they can only retract back to something that they find foundational. And for a lot of them, it is the founding fathers. And there's nothing left of the founding fathers because it's been erased essentially out of the minds. It still exists if you read anything, but they go to the Constitution. And for them, that is the foundation. And if that's the foundation, they have no agency after that. Because the TV man didn't tell them that, hey, you can think for yourself.
Provides inalienable rights. Josh's arguments are valid. Jim's arguments are valid. They're provocative. They're incredibly interesting. And I love drinking a beer and arguing about things in the hypothetical, theoretical. But I can't, as
he's done this so many times.
He dismisses our arguments.
He dismisses it on the basis that it is hypothetical. One, okay, I'm fine with not engaging with crazily imagined hypotheticals. But these are very real hypotheticals, and the ones that aren't hypotheticals are real. Mm-hmm. And so these are perfectly valid discussions to be had. You can't just dismiss it because it might be theoretical or hypothetical to you.
And here's the thing. Like, Muslims are like the one race of people, or the one, whatever you want to call it, that the boomers still allow themselves to be racist against. That's the one ethnic group, like, they won't say Arabs, but it's the one religion, it's the one thing that they will let themselves discriminate against inherently. They say Iran, or I look at these 1970 videos of Iran, Iraq. Look how good it was, and then the Muslims came in and ruined everything. They're coming here, but we have to let them do it because that's what the founding fathers would have wanted. The founding fathers would have pissed on on half the people that call into the show. They would
have hung them. I think they would have hung them. If these people existed back in, I don't know, 1800, they wouldn't have existed.
Yeah.
What do I like in my tacos? Dude, I like just a regular good old. I'll tell you a story about when I went to Belize one time. So we can lighten it up a little bit. I know we've been a bit angry today. Dude, I just like some good old meat and cheese. I don't want any of that fancy stuff. I don't, just meat and cheese.
Guacamole's not good.
Guacamole's okay. It's an acquired taste. You got to get used to it. But no,
when
I went to Belize, it was the funniest thing because it's just different over there. They just don't have the infrastructure that's not westernized, and we were out there working, building a school, and every once in a while, like every few hours or so, this car would be driving around just blowing the horn. Like nonstop. And they would just drive by and keep driving. Eventually, I asked them, what is going on? They make tortillas in the morning, pack them all up into a car, and just drive around and sell tortillas with the horn blowing. It's like tortilla delivery service without a phone.
With no meat and cheese?
Yeah, they would just sell tortillas. They wouldn't make tacos. It would just be tortillas that they made. And every single meal, dude,
maybe that's why they're so small,
was chicken and beans. Chicken and beans. And chicken and beans. Just done a different way. And chicken and beans. Also had some beef tongue in Maine. That was, don't do that one, boys. Chewy. All right, let's get back to the anger. Hopefully we can get to some more callers.
As someone politically inclined, Josh,
it's almost 5 o'clock.
I can't escape the realities of the Constitution.
We're going off. I'll stay up late.
I just can't. Your arguments are, if you said,
chat, let me ask you, Chad. I want you to respond to this. Are y'all fine? No rice. Some of it was rice every once, like dinner we would have rice, but it was beans and chicken and some more chicken and some more beans. Like breakfast was chicken and beans, and then we would go to lunch and it would be tortilla and beans and chicken, and then dinner would be maybe a little bit of rice and some chicken. Like I was there for, how long were we there? a week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe 3. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But all I remember is eating. I was done with chicken and beans for a long time after that. Ah, boy. Zeb and Josh, can you cook, and specifically Mexican food? We do Taco Tuesday. We do tacos every once in a while. We do sketty. We made pizza last night.
I can't cook. I'm not a woman. No, I'm kidding. I'm not.
Sometimes I just throw things together. Rarely, but sometimes.
Okay, Ken, let's debate this.
Oh, I was going to ask you.
I can cook sandwiches.
Y'all cool with me going till 5:30-ish, 5:45? Maybe we can get through some of this. What's left? 30 minutes?
We got to stop.
We'll burn it.
Yeah, we got to stop stopping on every little thing.
Yes, and
it's too easy.
Let's debate this as if there were no Constitution. Then we're hypothesizing and we're theorizing, and I'd probably have a lot of fetishes that I'd love to fulfill. I got a lot of feelings and emotions, and I'd love to see this happen, and I wish they hadn't done that. But the reality is, I live in a nation that governs itself to some degree. I mean, Bernie's oligarchy and, anyway, but to some degree, we govern ourselves. We are man governing fellow man with the other person's consent, that being the casting of a ballot. Whether we like it or not, the voters of New York voted for a Ugandan Muslim who has been to the country 6 or 7 years. Ain't no way in.
Oh, is he Ugandan? I didn't know he was Ugandan.
I think he slipped. I think he kind of made a mistake, but I mean, who cares?
But he referred to them as the voters of New York.
They're not the voters of New York.
They're not New Yorkers. And this is the problem.
All the New Yorkers are here.
All the New Yorkers are 30 miles that way, laid out at the beach with their retirement because they sold their house up there for a couple $1 million to move down here to a $250,000 house. To live on a golf course with the beach beside them. And so they can destroy this one too. I don't know where we're going to go. We escaping to Louisiana? No, we're going to Montana. We're going to Montana next, boys. Pack it up. Pack it up.
In hell, I'm doing it, but they did. And the Constitution affords them the right to do that. Is there consequences to making bad decisions? Absolutely. Are there times we've looked at the Constitution and says, wow, I really don't like this. And I dislike it so much that the founders gave us an opportunity to amend it. So when I debate politics, I can't help but consider the Constitution. It gives me no choice but to consider, what does the Constitution say about this? Is it perfect? No.
I do want to address this. Booster took time to type it out, so let's address it. First of all, welcome to the stream and to the chat. So we covered this when he was doing the debate with Cuomo and Eric Adams and whoever else was on the debate stage when they were running the campaign initially. The comment says, hey guys, hear me out. Mamdani didn't kiss the wall and said he will not go to Israel. So explain to me what's wrong with him compared to the others who all are puppets of Israel. I don't like any of them. First of all, we don't.
Yeah,
none of them are preferable.
You can dislike both sides of an opposing argument. If a hardcore anti-Christian Jew and a Muslim are butting heads, I can say I dislike them both. I dislike those because they're puppets. I mean, and like, this guy's not going to be a puppet too. Let's be honest.
And basically,
you think he's immune to the political pressure of AIPAC and all these things? AIPAC sunk hundreds of millions of dollars into senatorial and was it senatorial races or congressional races, like in this past term?
Yeah, some retarded amount.
Yeah, some retarded amount of money. If they're displeased with this guy, they will get rid of him.
But to address the question, other than just saying I don't like any of them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if he didn't kiss the wall, because
he's Muslim.
There's no friendship in Christian and Muslims. They are not our brothers, not even close. Neither are the Jews. Anybody that rejects Christ as Savior is not our brother. We can start there and then follow it from there. But there's a post we went over earlier in the stream, a little bit more in depth than I'm going to go over now. But essentially, he won handedly any and all of the Jewish boroughs in New York. So to say that he's anti-Semitic, he may be on the campaign trail, just like everybody makes promises. But in reality, the Jews still vote for him. And so if your issue is that he didn't kiss the wall, it doesn't matter because they still vote for him overwhelmingly. It is what it is. Where are we at? Oh, let me change the screen first. Hopefully that answers your question. I think it does. So explain to me what's wrong with him compared to the others who are all puppets of Israel. I don't know
he's
that
Muslim.
I don't
he's
know.
Muslim.
Yeah, he's Muslim. One, I don't know that he is. I don't even know that he isn't. Right? I mean, they believe, the Jews that voted for him believe he is at least better than Eric Adams or Cuomo or anybody else that was on this stage. That were puppets of Israel, right? I mean, they voted against their own interest if your argument is sound, and I don't think it is. Hopefully that answers your question. Oh, not what I wanted to do. Let's see, Jim was the one that just called in not too long ago. And Culture on Temple made a point. If these boomers care so much about Israel, they should seek the removal of Muslims.
Agreed.
Yeah, we've made it. And Culture is probably the only female that deserves a vote. And that's me being very, very, very
dudes.
Generous. Huh?
She dates black dudes.
Does she?
Oh, yeah.
She told Vivek Ramaswamy he needs to be deported to his face. That he shouldn't run for office. I thought that was funny. On his own show, too. I thought it was hilarious.
I did not know that.
You didn't see that?
I maybe
like,
I
yeah,
did. I just
she was like,
remember.
yeah, non-Americans shouldn't hold office, is basically what she said.
I had to miss about 15 minutes. Did anyone answer the question about Aisha?
No, nobody.
Not on the other show. All
right.
Let's continue.
Let's see if we can get through some of this. Ooh. Josh does go off here in a minute, so stick around for that one.
Did they get some things wrong? Of course they did. And your argument is very provocative, Josh. And I've always said, what if the founders got together today at a Hampton Inn? I mean, Jesus let them live for another, hour and a half. And they got together today, Constitution in hand. They like this. They don't like that. They didn't see this coming. We did pretty good on that. Oh, of course there's always, but we don't have that opportunity.
See, I hate this argument. I mean, I have pages and pages here of the founding fathers, from Benjamin Franklin to Jefferson to Washington to, I can literally just pick any of them, and they will tell you what they thought about today. They wrote extensively. All you have to do is look at, just pick one, like the Federalist or Anti-Federalist papers. That wasn't even about necessarily the country, but they were car salesmen trying to sell the Constitution to the states. And even within there, you have John Jay writing about keeping the Federation a white federation. We don't need them today. We have these guys literally put their life on paper. They didn't yell at a camera that gets deleted. We have everything they wrote, everything they thought, and all you have to do is apply it. To act like they would change their mind because of time is a boomer take. Time doesn't change or fix or alter nature or universal laws.
You brought up a quote the other week from Benjamin Franklin about how Germans could never be American. But we got to let these Muslims in the country, Arabs.
I just picked a random page. Adams explains why we celebrate the 4th of July. On July 3rd, 1776, John Adams wrote to his wife Abigail about the Continental Congress vote to declare independence. He predicted the decision would be a cause of ongoing annual celebration, of course. The Declaration of itself was dated July 4th, and that's the day we celebrate, not July 2nd, when the vote was cast. Let me see if I can get to what is the why. You will think me transported with enthusiasm, but I am not. I am well aware of the toil, blood, and treasure that it will cost us to maintain this declaration and support and defend these states. Yet through all gloom, I can see the rays of ravished light and glory. I can see that the end is more than worth all the means, and that posterity will triumph in the day's transactions, even although we should rue it, which I trust in God we shall not. I picked a random page, and this is John Adams talking about the 4th of July, and he layers it with where did I missed it? He layers it with, I can see that the end is more than worth all the means, and that posterity will triumph in the day's transactions. What's he talking about there? I mean, this is a random page in just a collection of the founding fathers. He's talking about that his children will have a nation to call their own. Specifically his children. Posterity just means your descendants. And he's talking about their descendants, the founding fathers' descendants. But it's been given away to people that are not their posterity. We don't need them to come back. We have it. All of it. And when you want to have your foundation of the Constitution, you should have the people that wrote the Constitution applied throughout as it was meant to be, right? These are the Pharisees. They take the Constitution as it is written and not as it is meant to be. They remove the spirit of the thing. It must be applied in the context of the founders. But if you remove the spirit of the Constitution from it, you get what we have today.
We either believe in the Constitution or we don't. And if you ask me to hypothesize about things I'd like to see our country...
we either believe the Constitution or we don't. This is the problem. This is Pharisaical. We either believe the law and apply it to the letter of the T, to the tilde of the T, and the dot of the I, or we just don't have it. Like, I don't know. Like, you just remove the spirit of the thing from it. Like Jesus preaches on the Sermon on the Mount. If you commit hate in your heart, it's a sin against God. It's the spirit of the law. The same can be applied to the Constitution. The same can be applied to many things throughout life.
You do, as if there were no Constitution. I've got a runway that's 100 miles long, and I've got exit ramps everywhere. But if you put that Constitution at the center of the argument, I'm constrained. The Constitution doesn't celebrate everything I believe in, but it celebrates enough.
He's constrained. You know who's not constrained, Josh?
Us.
Well, the people that don't care about the Constitution.
There you go.
You're fighting with your hands behind your back because you restrict yourself unjustly, incorrectly.
And I'm willing to say it's imperfect, but it's the best man has ever seen. And I can't address the political matters in America today without giving the Constitution consideration. And our laws force us. Our government forces us to say, hey, what does the Constitution say about this? When we elect a Supreme Court judge who has the final say on legal matters, what are we worried about, Rev? Do they believe in the Constitution?
This is just not true. It's just not true. The Civil Rights Act nullifies the Constitution. It nullifies the First Amendment. Brown v. Board nullifies the First Amendment. They disregarded the Constitution entirely and subverted it. It's just not true. Donald Trump starts a war, goes and bombs another country with war efforts that are unconstitutional. But we can't deport people because one district judge says, oh, you can't do that because it's unconstitutional. It's like, dude, if you're going to apply the thing, apply it. or don't. It's
or not.
hard.
What is their interpretation of the Constitution? Is it a living, breathing document? Are they originalists? Are they textualists? I mean, we ponder those sorts of things, and I think that's healthy. And it doesn't allow me to govern on feelings or emotions or what I think needs to happen today or tomorrow or the next day.
Kevin's comment.
It's interesting and it's fun and it's provocative to argue politics as if there were no Constitution. But the cold hard truth is there is, and it has an important place in how we govern ourselves, and it has lifted. And I think those who complain about the Constitution and say, man, they'd have changed a bunch of things if they could do it today, they probably would. But in truthfulness,
back to the original.
The world was a pretty primitive place before the Constitution came along. And out of that came more human prosperity, the advancement of mankind, eradication of disease.
What's he asking about?
Who?
Do I have a member plan or something?
Oh, we do. That was something I wanted to jump on, but he wouldn't let me. What he said was the world was a very primitive place before the Constitution, and it led to, again, no, it wasn't.
Some parts were.
Well, and they're still that way today, and now they're coming here.
Wealth creation, innovation, the Constitution has been at the center of all that. It has liberated human capital in ways the world had never seen before the Constitution.
False.
So I'm a fan of the Constitution. I don't think it's perfect. I do believe if they gathered at a Hampton Inn today, that they would have, black marker in hand. They would strike through some things. They would change some things. But they're not here today. And the only thing they've given us is the ability to amend it. And when the country has enough of whatever it is we're dealing with.
Capitalism has existed in London and Rome. The Constitution did not liberate anything. It did not liberate human capital.
If I ever get the Rumble halfway set up, I'll get a local setup. YouTube is working on monetization. There should be, if you're on desktop, you might be able to. I just submitted the membership for monetization in YouTube. They are reviewing it, so probably not going to get that. But if I do, there would be a membership option there. I think it's like a couple tiers. I'll double check that tonight and let you know tomorrow. So I think you have to be on desktop to join. And then like I think I mentioned the other day, it was like Monday. We're gonna do some members only stuff fairly regularly. At least I plan on it. So yeah, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, this is it's not a last resort, but I'm definitely trying to make this before I dive back into. I don't know. I'll probably end up in trade work, but I'm perfectly fine with any of them. I would just rather be able to do this, and
we're working on it.
I feel like it's a lot more effective.
Share.
I feel like it's a lot more effective. Yeah, a lot of this is going to be based on discovery. There's some stuff that I could do that I'm going to try to do that's a little bit harder because I have a baby, but we're going to make it, boys. We're going to make it. Just hang on tight. Like I told Josh the other day, when Josh first started, I said, Josh, I didn't even want to be in front of the camera. I just wanted to produce. But nobody wanted to follow through with anything they had to do, so I was like, screw it. I'll just do it. Poetry, baby. Let's go. But yeah, I mean, anything we appreciate. I mean, I appreciate comments in chat. I appreciate people watching. So it adds up. I think we're going to get somewhere. I say soon. Hopefully by the end of the year. I mean, we're what, 4.5 months into this?
Yeah.
We'll get there. Hang on, boys. Hang on. I want to get to, Josh kind of goes off here in a second. I'm going to listen through it, but we're going to go.
We'll amend it. And you said it, Rev. They made it hard. Says who?
And what?
Says who? Says who? I'm not impeding that. I'm just not. You're right, Rev. I mean, that's not the only issue. I mean, there's 100 things I could come up with. And, hey, TJ, give me that pen. Hey, Franklin, give me that pen. Let me do some figuring over here. But who's to say I get to figure? I mean, what do you say to the fellow Americans who have a different worldview than I do? And they, like you said, the Constitution changed in very different ways, and I'd like to see it changed.
They're not American.
That's not the way.
I don't think he doesn't. They don't understand power.
Yeah.
They don't understand wielding power. They always revert to like a perverted view of democracy, even. Like, why does my opinion matter? Well, your opinion matters if you're in power. Because you can impose your opinion.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of being in power. Is to impose your opinion on people.
The way it works. It's just not. I mean,
did the founding fathers not impose their opinion on people?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is, it's like they say they say like, well, we need a representative republic because what if we have an authoritarian and they're evil? What if the people are evil? What if the people are stupid? Guess what? When they come here from Africa, they are.
It's impossible to believe that the government can hold itself together if I get a heavier say of the Constitution than you do.
No, it's not. That's the founding of the country, was that people had more of a say than other people.
Yeah, the founders didn't let slaves vote.
No, they didn't let blacks vote. They didn't let slave whites vote. They didn't let free white peoples of good character. That's who was able to vote. And then they had to compromise at 3/5. The entire country, the nation, was founded on the caste system, if you will, that is America.
Or you get a better say in the Constitution than I do. You're almost the arrogance of someone who believing that they know the answer.
No, the arrogance of someone that thinks everyone is equal is retarded.
To everything. Every problem America has, I know the answer.
I guarantee you $1 billion if he was running a company and Elon Musk said, I'll come run your company, but I get all the say-so. Would he hand the company over to Elon to run?
No.
You don't think so?
Well, I mean, he'd want to keep it for himself.
He can keep it for himself, but Elon makes all the decisions. For sure he would.
I'm not sure what you're getting at, but go ahead.
He's saying that everybody's say is equal, and it's just obviously not.
Yeah.
If somebody is better at running a company, you offer up that company to be run by somebody else. This is why we have presidents, because they're better, or at least theoretically, they ought to be better at running a country.
Yeah.
This is why you give Elon Doge, because he's better. Elon has more of a say, and he's not even a natural born American. Because he's better at sniffing out fraud, if you will.
You've got an opinion. That's all you've got. You've got an opinion about what needs to be done about X, Y, or Z. I've got an opinion about what needs to be done about X, Y, and Z. The people that scare the hell out of me are the ones who believe their answer is the only answer. And that's
you know what scares me.
I think
count
me out on that.
You know what scares me.
Yeah,
because I know I don't say it here, so I'll say it now. What scares me more than people who think they've got it all figured out are Somalians, are Haitians, and guess what? They do think that. Ilhan Omar thinks that. All these people think that. But it's scary when I think it, because I'm a Christian nationalist. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so Josh is about to jump in here in a second. He kind of goes off. I would have added a little bit, but I'm going to let it play out here. He does a good job. Probably as good as he could in the situation. So
I don't believe that my answer is the only answer. I'm willing to have this discussion and debate. I just think that yours is the wrong one. And that's my opinion. I disagree. But my point I want to make is this, is there's a difference between the country, the government, and the nation. The nation of America did not come into existence at 1776. It existed for hundreds of years prior. The settlers, their descendants, that's the nation. Those people were the nation.
Says who?
And what?
Says who?
Reality.
Well, I'm serious.
What are you talking about?
You're saying that 1776 doesn't mean anything. Independence Day doesn't mean anything.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything. They became a different nation than the British, right? due to environmental factors, social, factors, what was going on. They became it.
One thing, I know I'm stopping here, but I just want you to note his recoil from the idea that the nation and the country aren't the same.
I was shocked.
I want you to notice the recoil, because in a matter of like 40 seconds, he gets cornered.
I would argue that the North is a different nation in a sense than the South, right? I mean, if we were the same nation, why do you not like the fact that so many Northerners are coming down here?
Because there's too many of them.
Because they're different.
And they're obnoxious and
because they're different. Right.
Sure.
Because they're different. That's what a nation is. The government was designed by the nation and the founders who were representatives of the nation, right? So what happens when the people coming into the country are fundamentally changing the nature of our nation? The Constitution was designed by the nation of the time to govern them.
Or the ideas of a nation.
But where did the ideas come from? They come from the people. And the people coming here, they're coming here because we're inviting them in, and our nation is incredibly prosperous. It's obviously becoming less prosperous. And why is that? It's because we're losing our sense of nationhood. And what's a big factor in that? All the different people coming here. And here's the thing. I'm a Christian. I do not hate these people. I do not hate Hispanics. I do not hate Mongolians. I do not hate Ugandans. I don't even hate Muslims. But it's okay to say they're different and we don't want them here.
It's okay to say that. But how do you stop that? It's perfectly fine to say that. But
we can talk about
you act as if there's no Constitution.
It's like, you go ahead and take it. And then
okay. So if there's a law on the books that if you're born with red hair, you have to shave it, but the cops don't come to your house. It's like, if the law is not enforced, then there, in essence, is no law, even if it's on the books. When Biden gets in and does unconstitutional things and the Congress and the Senate don't uphold him to it, then there is no Constitution. When they use the Constitution as a weapon against Donald Trump, the Constitution is simply a tool. And it's getting in the way. And you can get rid of these people. You can legislate our problems away. But when it goes, well, we can't legislate it because the prior legislation is getting away, then get rid of it.
It's like,
take it away, Zeb.
I'm a train conductor, right? And I am riding on this train. And we're about to go over this bridge, this long bridge train. But I noticed, it's broken. And we're just going to fall a couple 100 feet into a ravine. And if we don't die on impact, we're going to drown. But this sign right here says,
the people
brake.
That built the train wanted the train to get to its destination. Well, how can we get to the destination if we stop it?
Yeah, but this sign says I can't match the brakes.
What? You're kidding.
Yeah, I can't match the brakes, Josh.
Well,
I guess we just all die and drown.
I don't know what to do then.
It's a suicidal ideology, man. It's literally suicidal. He literally says, I know we can't do anything about it.
Well, because we have to adhere to the Constitution.
They broke into my house with the gun. I guess I just have to die. I don't need to fight back. It's literally self-defense at this point. It's self-preservation. Self-preservation is not just preservation of yourself. It's preservation of your family, your county, your state, your neighborhood, your country. When it's under threat, it is perfectly good even to fight back. Why is this so hard? It's suicidal, man. These people, they want to die themselves and bring you with them. But the worst part is these are the people in power too. The older generation are the ones in power that could actually do something about it. He's probably speaking to 30,000 people right now. He could change minds if he wanted to. But he doesn't have the self-awareness to change his.
Oh, man, I could have just ended my life.
There is a constitution, but my point is at what point are we going to say, as I would argue that you, Dave, myself, we are more aligned with the nation of the founders.
I worry about our sense of nationhood.
Right.
I worry a lot about it.
We are better.
It concerns me.
We are if you were to ask the founders what they thought the nation would look like in the year 2025, I mean, obviously technology, they'd get it wrong, but they would, if they were to describe what a person in America would look like in 2025, it'd look like you or me, both physically, emotionally, spiritually. It would be a lot like it wouldn't be a one-to-one, obviously, but it would be more like us than the new mayor of New York. And my point is, at what point are we going to say
I'm not
the
willing,
Constitution is great, but the Constitution is getting in the way?
I'm not willing to say I know what the founders would have expected the country to look like 250 years.
And that's what I say. I love the founders. I love the founders.
But you don't have to process a thing. They already said it to us and our posterity. They expected fully for Americans to look like them, to be their descendants. They fully expected them to be white Protestants of good character. That every single founder thought that. They signed a piece of paper that said it.
You kind of do. Do we have a call? Let's go to a call. You kind of do. No, not really. Let's go to the phone.
John in Hartson.
No, just it wouldn't be a one-to-one, obviously, but it would be more like us than the new mayor of New York.
And there was a slight jab.
And my point is, at what point are we going to say
I'm not
the
willing,
Constitution is great, but the Constitution is getting in the way?
I'm not willing to say I know what the founders would have expected the country to look like 250 years.
And that's what I say. I love the founders. I love the founders.
You kind of do. Do we have a call? Let's go to a call. You kind of do. Not really. Let's go.
He said you kind of do, not really. But this is the problem. Your position is the founder's position. These boomers have a perversion of what they wish the founders would have said. And you can even track this mindset change because he's been on air so long. If you go and listen to some of the older shows, I'm not going to out him too much here, but if you go and listen to some of the other shows, you can literally track the mindset change across time from there. And it's not good for any of them. Jim from Florence says, you read it, Josh.
The same people who worship Lincoln for trashing the Constitution to supposedly save the Union are the same ones who are screaming, "But the Constitution." 100%.
These people will worship at the feet of Lincoln. Lincoln was a tyrant. Oh no, authoritarianism bad. Lincoln. They it's called context window. Along with their inability to logic flow, they have a context window which doesn't allow them to apply something from outside of that context to another context. And so this is what allows them to cognitive dissonance, which, if you will, is a little bit different, but the context window of Lincoln doesn't allow them to then apply it to their revolt of any authoritarianism. Like they don't see the two as the same because they are unable to see the two at the same time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like these are two separate, entirely separate context windows in their head, and they can't look through two windows at the same time.
Yes.
Even the good boomers can't see outside of their own views, and when presented with opposition, they revert to the embodied Jewishness and lash out and never admit wrong.
Well, and that's the thing, is they are victims. I said this to him off the air. They are victims of their time, and I didn't say this, but the Jewishness. I mean, basically, the modern day white woman has been assimilated into the conniption. Like they've become a Jewish woman, like neurotic, you know what I mean? Like, and that's because the people that were shaping thoughts after the World War II were Jewish, and they've adopted that mentality.
Yes.
And it's to them, because they are not Jewish, it is self-destructive.
Get to the phone. John in Hartsville. Hello, John. You're on.
Get some good calls here.
Ken. I'd like to share some firsthand experience that I've had with you all about some Muslims. Back in the 70s, when I was going to Georgetown, I lived in Northern Virginia. I got a summer job, and there was with a construction company.
I had 3 people texting me during this. You, the guy you're doing speech for.
There were some engineers there. They were from India, and they were Muslims, and they lived in the same apartment complex as we did. And we socialized with them. We broke bread with them. We could even have theological discussions with them. And, they were not the extremists. When dealing with Muslims, one size doesn't fit all. And one of the gentlemen that come over there was struggling with them, and another one told him, says, you need to adapt to American society. So, from firsthand experience, I can't buy the fact that all Muslims are jihadists.
No, if all Muslims were jihadists, we'd all be dead.
The thing is, a lot of times the media, what they're going to do is they're going to focus on the extremes. Like saying all Muslims are.
I mean, if it bleeds, it leads. You know that. I mean, to some degree, we practice that. I mean, we traffic in that. I'm ashamed to say it.
It's not even about jihadists. It's not even about radical Islam. It's about it's incompatible with what is American.
But I mean, there are certain provocative things we throw out there because we believe it creates a more sensational response. So, I mean, I try to not do it as much as the media does. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it, John. That's just kind of an interesting, that's one man's perspective. Somebody else would have had a different perspective. To me, the only consistency in self-government is what basic do you adhere to? And I'm not a fuddy-duddy. Josh knows that. And, Josh kind of sort of, I don't think he meant to because he hardly ever does. But Josh gave me a compliment the other day when he said, to be your age, you're more open-minded than most. And I try to be open-minded. I try to consider the fact that I don't have it all figured out. I mean, I have a worldview. I have a set of values. And, Josh, I worry about our sense of nationhood. I worry about assimilation. I worry about commonality of priorities. I worry a lot about that. I want my kids and grandkids to grow up in a great America. And I think there's got to be some sense of nationhood. But I can't say, hey, the sense of nationhood, assimilation, and camaraderie, and common value. Yeah, Constitution,
I want all of these things, but I'm not going to do anything to make it happen.
Put it in the closet till next week, and we'll address some of these things, and then we'll break the Constitution. I just think we've always got to consider what the Constitution says regarding how we govern ourselves, not how we live our lives, not who we date or not what college team we pull for, but in matters of government, the Constitution is our North Star. Let's go to the phone.
Greg in Florence. Hello, Greg. You're on.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I gotta pick a point with you. This idiot did not win the governorship. He won the Democratic primary for governor.
No, for mayor.
Still for mayor, I mean.
Yeah, for mayor.
Right. But, there's still a Republican challenger out there, and they've got to have an election later on in the year to find out who is going to be the mayor.
I was gonna
fair enough. He's going to be the mayor.
I was looking at Ken like this. I was like,
we've already addressed that here, but and Ken,
I think you need to pass a civics test to be given a cell phone. Oh my gosh.
Oh, my mouse isn't working.
Republicans not going to get elected mayor of New York City. I've seen the numbers.
You don't even think there's a case like Charles had mentioned this morning
the only
about
thing that can happen is Cuomo and Adams make a deal.
A diluted vote.
I mean, if Cuomo and Adams can make a deal, and one run is
dude, the numbers aren't there. The numbers simply aren't there.
I don't want to get myself in trouble by exposing behind the scenes stuff, but I'll say this. This is my main criticism of the host of all these things. He never calls out callers on how retarded they are.
He should,
and he's
retarded.
He makes faces. He makes gestures. He knows how retarded they are. But he never says it.
Here's what I'm going to show you. I mean, these are the numbers in New York. Right? I mean, let's say Cuomo and Adams get together and then they both run independent, Josh. I mean, these are the Democrat votes. He's already got 50% of the Democrat votes. I don't even know if there's that many Republicans that'll vote in New York. Half of the total population doesn't even speak English. Like, I can't push that through enough people. Like, I can't push that through your head enough. Like, half of them don't even speak English.
I wonder if the audience heard that. You hear that? Cracked my neck real hard.
Like, chat, what do you even do with this? I mean, these are the people
independent
that vote in our elections, much less the New York election. These guys are...
These are descendants of the founding stock.
Bloomberg, it could be Bloomberg 2.0. Bloomberg lost the primary, came back and ran as an independent. Now Bloomberg had enormous amounts of money to personally invest in his race. Republicans not going to get elected today, Mayor of New York.
Says he can call in.
An independent could. So, yeah, I mean, I guess hypothetically we're jumping the gun by making this guy. He is the presumptive Democrat nominee. He is the likely, he's the favorite today. He's likely to be elected mayor of New York City. Unless, and we said this morning, Adams and Cuomo figure out a way to make a deal. I mean, I understand the, what's the name, Eric? The guy that's, wears the red?
Curtis Silva.
Yeah, Curtis Silva. Sliwa. I think you're wasting time there. I think not only do the stars have to perfectly align, the only sense of nationhood. That's real. That matters over the
religious freedom issue.
Or the ability to be chicken crap. And I cleaned that up a bit. And lately, we've had a chicken crap Congress.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not normally attacked from outside.
Why is the Congress chicken crap? Why? Just answer me why. Just why? Why?
Empires and dynasties and great civilizations and great government experiments, I mean, they have a death cycle. You want to get real doomy and gloomy? We're probably in the fourth quarter.
Again, it's a suicidal ideology. Inevitably it'll end. Let's just let it happen.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Well, we can't, authoritarian. Hey, I advocate for an authoritarian leader. Whoa. You're not careful. History will repeat itself. Empires rise and fall. We just got to let it happen, I guess. Why did they fall, Zeb? Why did Rome fall?
I mean, it's not like Patrick Buchanan wrote like 6 books about this. Death of the West, suicide of a superpower. I mean, you could go on. They die because they allow themselves, they become tolerant of the intolerant. They allow in parasites to suck off the system. Not only do they suck off the system, they then gain power to give the parasites more system to suck off.
I mean, I don't think we're in the 2-minute warning, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know we're past halftime. Could we be at the end of the third quarter, heading into the fourth quarter? I mean, there's no example in human history of a dynasty or empire enduring forever. And I think the first thing we've got to accept that we are an empire. I mean, do you believe that, Rev? We don't call ourselves an empire.
Don't like that word.
I mean, we have been a superpower for a long time. We lived in a unipolar era for a long time.
They admit it. I don't like that word. They apply, and this is the same thing they do with authoritarian or king or any other word. They apply a positive and negative to it. I mean, this isn't some, I don't know, we're not running electricity over here. The word is a word as a descriptor. It doesn't have power. There's no positive aspect to the word. Language is here to be wielded. It is being wielded against them in the idea that one word is positive and one word is negative.
You know what I just thought of? It's so funny. Whenever I bring up Christian nationalism, whenever I bring up an authoritative, they always get me on the specifics. Well, what about then? Then it's okay to have hypotheticals, but hold on. They always say, they always say, well, what about this? What about this? And I say, I don't have all the answers. I'm one man thinking it up, but I'm acknowledging the problems and posing a possible solution. Can we at least talk about it? So they always get me on the specifics. They always bring up these niche hypotheticals, niche circumstances, and what I would do and how I would govern under a Christian nationalist authoritarian regime, society, whatever you want to call it. They're getting on me for not having all the answers, yet they expect the founders to have had them back then. They expect the founders to been able to predict all this, and that the rules in 1776 are divine, that they persist to today.
Yeah, I mean the founders were just so much smarter. They had they had their crystal orb called they called it Palantir, and they could like see into the future.
Yeah.
It's just been passed down to generations until the Gauge U got one.
Yeah, exactly. 1999 wants to call in today.
1989.
Well,
yeah, we are doing call in today. I guess we're gonna open up. Jim said he was gonna call earlier. I'm gonna throw it up there. We'll talk to Jim, and if you want to call in, we can do it. We're definitely gonna do it tomorrow, probably a little earlier on.
Yeah, we'll have more time tomorrow.
But yeah, imperfect citizens. How can the Constitution serve as a primary cornerstone to a nation when it is malleable, subjective, and blatantly ignored at times? Yeah, I think Josh, you didn't make that comment on air, did you?
No.
Okay. Well,
I didn't have the chance.
Yeah, we make this comment all the time. They believe it is a foundational document because they believe it's divine, and so they worship the Constitution. They literally sacrificing their children at the altar of the Constitution. They worship it.
Unironically.
Not yeah.
That's not hyperbole. That is not hyperbole. I have had boomers tell me that the Constitution is divinely inspired.
He says subjective. Right. It can be interpreted, but I mean, again, like I said, I mean, we have it's not really up to our interpretation. I mean, hear me out here. Unlike the Bible, we have I guess even with the Bible, you have so much extra biblical material to then apply to the Bible itself. In the same context, you have so much extra constitutional material. Like I mean, it's almost not even get throughable within a lifetime. There's so much of it. It doesn't need to be subjectively interpreted. Blatantly ignored at times. Sure. Very, very much so when it gets to the Supreme Court, especially, I don't know, Brown v. Board, I like to refer to a lot. We talk about the cake baker. We talk about, what else? Civil Rights Act 64. We talk about, I mean, it's constant. Yeah, I mean, it's completely subjective. If the thing can be changed, then it's just not solid. It's not a foundation to be built on. I guess that might be a bit much. It can't be a foundation to be built on, but it necessarily requires. I'll think that one through. I'll have you answer next time.
An empire. And empires tend to crumble because they get fat, happy, lazy, nonchalant, not serious. And that's very much who we are today. Could we be the example that finds its soul, that commits itself to better government? Yeah, I mean, of course we could. But the Constitution doesn't do it for us. Our political leadership has to do that. Let's go to the phone.
Matt in Darlington, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, I was, as far as the Constitution goes, I mean, that is all governed.
This one.
Okay, we'll get to
North Star. And what we're talking about here is basically a religious freedom issue. Whether we like it or not, whether we agree with Muslim or Islam at all, it boils down to a protected right in this country of religious freedom to express oneself the way they do, even if it's contrary to what we believe as a people. The other issue is when we're talking about nationhood.
Just let him finish. Just let him finish.
Disregard even just like the religious idea. Just apply the principle of, is it tolerant? Is it sustainable to have a tolerance for intolerance? And apply it. You don't even think about religion in this aspect. But you can, right? In this context, Christianity is the tolerant, and literally everyone else is the intolerant.
And apparently New York doesn't have the same sense of nation that South Carolina has. So
Agreed.
They elected, obviously there's enough people in New York that agree, or there's too many that are lazy that don't want to go to the polls to oppose it. It's one of the two. There's either more people that agree with that, or there's not enough people that are willing to protest against it. So in that sense, Ken, like you said, they get the government they deserve because that's what they allowed to get elected. There's no chance that guy will get elected in South Carolina.
I don't agree that Americans deserve to be governed by a Muslim. I don't agree that Americans deserve to be governed by Mamdamdidi.
And this is what we're trying to say. We need to try and find what we and govern how we need, not how we deserve, quote unquote, according to this guy.
We deserve suicide. That's what they're arguing. You deserve to be suicided.
Because we have a different set of beliefs here.
YouTube's probably going to kick us for this one.
But we're all governed by the same Constitution, and until we accept that as our governing way, that's just the way it has to be. How we could write legislation and codify anything to protect the values of our country, I don't know how you do that, because that idea is not the same across the board anymore. It was when the Constitution was written, but it's not now. So what values are going to be protected if we go in and change it? And the Constitution is hard to change for a reason. It's hard to change because we're an emotional people, and when we gain power, those who are in power want to codify things that they believe in. The problem is in this country, when that pendulum swings the other way, it can be just as bad. So, 10 years from now, if New York
let me address this.
Government, they decide to.
When it swings the other way, it can be just as bad. First of all, I don't agree. Second of all, you don't know that because we've never compromised to the other way. We've never compromised to the right. It's always a compromise to the left. I'm not going to say never. We kind of pushed back in the early 90s. We kind of pushed back at World War II against the Chinese and the Japanese. And even the Mexicans prior to that. But the outcome of those were substantially greater than any compromise we've made to the left.
To pass a code that says Christians can't run for office, hopefully that'll be opposed and go to the Supreme Court and be decided on based on the First Amendment, which is currently protecting the Muslims. It may one day protect Christians.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that.
The
Constitution,
his doomsday scenario is worth considering to preserve the Constitution. His doomsday scenario of Christians no longer being able to hold public office is acceptable because it's what the founders would have wanted in his mind.
I don't understand how you get to this point. Like, what went on in their adolescence through adulthood to get them to arrive at these conclusions? Like, even if I'm lifetime dispensationalist, even if I'm lifetime staring at the TV, the stupid box, I still don't understand how these people they simply don't have agency.
You want to go to Jim?
I think anticipated that along with...
All right. Yeah, I'm done with this.
That was the worst one. Jimbo.
Let me copy it. I'm going to send it to Josh.
Okay, he's there. He's there. Just a second.
Oh, did he call in already?
Well, he's
here. Okay.
I was going to text him, but he said he's in the chat.
Yeah, text this to him.
All right. I'll text you the link, Jim. So we'll get you on specifically. But we'll try and get to you, 1989 Theology. We appreciate you being here.
If you want to call in today, just let me know in the chat, and then we'll open it up to you. Jim just asked a minute ago. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I
sent
know,
you the link,
dude.
Jim.
I don't know how they get to that conclusion, Josh. Like what goes on in your life to make you think that the First Amendment should be preserved after it's been unpreserved and imposed against Christians, Americans, so long? Like how? Like what are you preserving? Let me get you pulled up on screen, brother. Where is it?
It was a little while ago. I think it was Josh I or Nubtoes. I can't remember, but someone said I lost weight. Thank you for noticing. I love you.
Oh, there he goes. What is up, brother?
Oh, don't show your face.
Does he want to? Do you want no face?
I don't think his audio's on.
Oh, there he goes. I can't see. There we go. What's up, brother?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
yeah, we hear you. What's up?
So let's not get rid of the people that will use our Constitution to get against us, is what that caller said.
Yeah. Well,
Because
what he said is that the potential that Christians would be deposed. Hopefully, the Supreme Court steps in, and it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. A couple of things too. We don't have to rewrite the Constitution. We can just properly interpret the 14th Amendment. So these guys talk about they worship the Constitution, right? They don't worship the Constitution. They worship the 14th Amendment, right? All of our problems stem from the 14th Amendment. So, when you go back and you read the things that they talked about when they were drafting the 14th Amendment, what they were saying, oh, this isn't going to lead to what we have now. They talked about that. And then, I have to wonder, was McCarthy right? Was McCarthy right? Because it sure seems like McCarthy was right.
Yeah, I mean, I think McCarthy was right.
That
he's becoming more and more right as time goes on. It is the 14th Amendment. And here's something else that should be noted about 13, 14, and 15. Is the succession predated that. And so all of those were established in a North-only context. They abused secession.
I mean, so we have a worship of the 14th Amendment that has been misinterpreted for this birthright citizenship, right? When it was clearly said, oh, this is only for the slaves. This is only for the slaves, which I am for. Look, the last time I called in, I gave you my views on that. I certainly don't believe the slaves built America like they tried to shove down our throats. But they were certainly a part of this country. And what do y'all call them? What do y'all call them? Foundational
heritage Americans.
Oh, foundational Black Americans. I don't say that. That was something that came up the other day. But yeah, sure. I mean, I'll play ball with it.
Okay, and when we think about the PR side of this, you have to play ball with that. You have to understand that aspect of it.
Sure.
But in this whole thing of letting, they voted for it. New York didn't vote for this. New York City didn't vote for this. Immigrants voted for this, right? So, why are we allowing? If Josh, if I allowed you to come, hey man, I'm gonna be in town for a few weeks. Do you mind if I crash at your place? Yeah, sure. I'm not gonna give you a vote on what we do in my home.
We got wife swapped. We got wife swapped. We got wife swapped, except there was no exchange on our end.
Right, and so the boomer is kind of all over the place on why they feel this way. Did y'all ever watch the movie Dazed and Confused? I mean, that was kind of a foundational movie in my youthful upbringing as the youngest of three brothers.
No, never seen. Is that a girly movie?
I'm gonna say it's before my time.
So it came out in 1993.
Yeah, before my time.
Yeah. So it technically would have been before my time, but I had a brother in high school at the time, so he made me sit down and watch it, and certainly a cult classic. But in that movie, it's about the summer of 1976, which is when a lot of the end of the boomers would have been going through high school, and one of the things that the teacher, the white female teachers, they're leaving the classroom, and she says, "Don't forget when you're celebrating the 4th of July, you're celebrating rich white slave owners being pissed off that they got to pay taxes." I mean, so they have been.
I did see that scene. I know what you're talking about.
Right. So, and my dad's watched the movie. My mother watched the movie. It's pretty accurate to the time, right? And so these boomers had been taught all this stuff, but they didn't have the opportunity like you and I have to go on Twitter sphere and say, "Man, let me double check this. Let me see what these people are saying." And so, and then furthermore, boomers also want cheap labor. Do not forget that. They need their Social Security propped up. They need, so they got to have the cheap labor because they want to continue their 401ks going into oblivion and enjoy their cheap vacations. But I forget where I was kind of going with that. But yeah, so y'all can fill in the gaps. But anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, that kind of lends to the idea that I had that they just don't have agency, right? You said that they don't have a Twitter sphere to go to. Agree, that's fine. But the problem is they don't even think to check now. And so they just accept what AI gives them in some context, right?
Yeah. Right, so let's go to the guy that said he broke bread with Muslims. So one of the tenets of Islam is that you can lie to non-Muslims to get your way. Like, so, I mean, they really weasel their way into Western culture to take over it. They're not coming to England, and I mean, not that they could technically assimilate, but at least not get in the way, right? And so, no, they're bringing Islam with them, and their rape gangs and everything else. What's the Tommy guy that's fighting it real hard? Robinson.
Yeah, Tommy Robbins.
But even he, when they agree with them, side with him. I mean, he sides with them. So I'd be careful there. But
Jim, you know what this book is?
Hold on.
You might not be able to see it.
Yeah, I can't see it.
It's the 48 Laws of Power, and it's how to be a Jew, basically. And that's basically what Islam is. Islam is Jewish. Islam is spiritually Jewish. Obviously, there's some differentiating aspects, but I did a thread on 48 Laws of Power. It wasn't that in depth, but the basic concept is, yes, the Muslims do the same things that the Jews do, is where they're perfectly willing to subvert, lie, to get and gain power in a country that isn't theirs, to then commandeer that country. This is what we're seeing all throughout the West. When you have Sadiq Khan in London, right? We have our own personal Sadiq Khan. You got Sadiq Khan at home. But yeah.
But so, all right. One, how do we fix this? You don't have to rewrite the Constitution. You have to reinterpret. And here's what I could see playing out. So, as boomers die out, and I kind of jokingly said the 2040s are our decade. So if we are able to hang on, let's say we hang on, right? You could simply, if you get your judges in there, right, and then there's a reason why I said Islam is not a religion, it's an ideology. I'm saying that on purpose because there's your out. It's not a religion. Don't call it a religion. They worship a pedophile, right? So
yes.
Don't call it a religion any longer. Call it an ideology. We outlawed communism at one point, but so you get your judges in there and you reinterpret the birthright citizenship thing. And here's going to come the problem with these immigrants that actually assimilated, right? Is they're going to get caught in the trap. And what's going to happen is if we hold on and the far right takes over, farther right than I am takes over, guys, I'm just a siren. I'm not necessarily as right wing as some of you all are. I'm the canary in the coal mine saying you're going to get what you don't want. So what happens is they write a law that says, hey, we're revoking birthright citizenship, and they start going through immigration records to say, oh, you're the grandchild of an immigrant, you no longer have citizenship. They may not deport you at the time, but they will start revoking citizenship after citizenship after citizenship. And so you're going to get immigrants that assimilated well get caught in the crosshairs. And I could certainly foresee that happening. Now, the other aspect is, the guy Matt called in to say, well, if we outlaw, we can't do that because they might do it to us. Well, they already do it to us. I mean, what do they also like? What do the boomers also like to say? Well, we can't do this because what if a Democrat gets in charge and does the same thing? Well, they already have. They arrested Trump's attorneys. You have we'll talk about the Constitution. You have the constitutional right to legal representation in this country, and they arrested his attorneys. Right? They don't care about the Constitution. I care about it in a sense up until the 14th Amendment, and I think it just got wildly off track. But we don't necessarily even have to trash it. We just have to ensure its proper interpretation and then implement it. We have to implement it. But, and then they complain about Congress. Well, isn't Congress, in a way, not upholding? They're voting for people that aren't upholding their constitutional duties. So boomers are a part of this problem of electing representatives that aren't upholding their constitutional duties. So in a sense, you're already subverting the Constitution. And so we're worshiping a document that really and truly, let me back up. Boomers are worshiping a document that really and truly they don't believe in until their children look at them and go, you destroyed our country. We don't care about that anymore. We want to fix our country.
I don't even think they'll listen to their children. I think they have to. It has to happen before they admit it, and by that time it's too late. I even think it's too late now.
The problem is by the time that the truest consequences of their action come into effect, they will be dead and they will die thinking they did the right thing. They will die thinking that, okay, at all costs, I tried to save the GOP, the GDP, and my children will be better for it. And in the year 2095, their granddaughters, great-granddaughters will have Somalians break into their bedrooms and ravage them.
Basically.
There was a caller the other day. Yeah, so there was a caller the other day. I'm trying to remember what he said. He talked about, look how prosperous the United States is. Dude, go to any town surrounding Florence, and certainly sections of Florence. It's starting to rain where I'm at. I don't know. I'm in the truck. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me. But anyways, there's certain sections in the PD that it looks like a nuclear bomb went off 20 years ago, and you're calling us prosperous?
They don't live in the real world.
You know what that nuclear bomb was?
It was a poop-leer bomb.
It was NAFTA. NAFTA was a nuclear bomb that hit Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. And any town under 30,000 just disappeared. They don't exist anymore. I mean, drive through Nichols or Fair Bluff or Lakeview or Dillon even. I mean, Dillon is at a cornerstone position of 95-9. I mean, they have so much summer traffic going through there that they can't capitalize on because their government. Maybe it's because of government. I don't know what the reason is, but it's like the city doesn't exist. You ride through it. There's like 30 downtown buildings, and 20 of them are crumbling. They can't even preserve what they have.
And the guy said we would never elect someone like that down here. Yeah, we would. You don't think we
do?
would?
We have. They're here.
Right. I mean,
this is the boomer. NAFTA is the boomer. Right? Lord of the Rings says, "What do you mean, Zeb? NAFTA literally has free trade in its name." It's obviously sarcastic. I mean, NAFTA is slavery exported, but now we have slavery imported, which is worse. But yeah. I guess we're going to close it up. Jim, you got anything else to add before we peace out?
Yeah, I'll also say this, kind of change the subject real quick. I've given that no kings thing some thought process. You know, the Christian right has, you know, really liked to say Christ is king a lot. And I wonder if that was, you know, it was obviously they tried to make it as a jab at Trump, but I wonder if really and truly it's trying to subvert Christianity. And well, it's not an idea that Christ is king. I mean, he is king, but
indirectly, but yes,
that message that Christ is. And so,
indirectly
I
it
would
is.
just like to end with Christ.
You cut out. Go again.
Yeah, so I'll just end with Christ is king. Hold on, give me a second. All right, you there?
Yeah. Go for it, brother.
Did I lose you?
Go ahead. You good?
All right. So I'll
Finish
end with this. Christ is king. Go get married and have a bunch of babies. All right. So Christ is king. Christ is king. Go get married, have a bunch of babies, and let's fix this country. Thanks, guys.
One quick question before you go, Jim, if you're still there, because there's a huge delay. But if Ken and Dave saw this, do you think I'd be fired?
You've already been fired, Josh.
Preemptively struck. That delay is crazy.
You would have a stern talking to.
Thank you, Jim.
You would have.
I look forward to hearing from you tomorrow.
Talk.
All right, breaking up pretty bad.
All right.
Sorry, Jim. Sorry, we had to cut him off. It was breaking up really bad. Oh, is he calling back? I think he might have accidentally hit it. Go again. Let's see if we you were breaking up pretty bad. Guest in the green room.
Just move on. I gotta get going, dude.
You ain't got nowhere to go.
I'm tired. And I'm hungry. I've been following your. I've been eating,
dude. All right, we'll just turn it off. Sorry, Chad. If anybody's still around, thank y'all for sticking it out. I know it's been a long stream today. I appreciate it. Wife's probably gonna yell at me. It's okay though.
Your wife?
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's like it's past 6 o'clock. On the position of Christ as king, yeah, I think Jim's got a point here. It's definitely, I mean, the same people that oppose Christianity are the ones opposing Christ as king. But the Christian right advocate for a Christian prince. And inevitably, yes. I mean, you could call him a king. These people just, again, they apply terms. They apply a positive or negative to a word, and king to them is a negative. They had the No Kings protest in Canada. They didn't even use No Kings because Canada has a king. And so they had to say no tyrants. Right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I mean, it's obviously an attack on the Christian right. Lord of the Rings, 89 Theology, whoever else is still here, Jim, appreciate it. Imperfect Citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a day. 1989 asked about memberships or something earlier. They should be up on YouTube. I'll double check that here in a second. If not, I'll have it ready. at the latest Monday. I think it might be pending, waiting on YouTube to approve everything. But once we do that, we'll probably change things up a little bit. Definitely still do mainstream, but we'll add a little bit more to it. Like maybe we'll release the studio tour to members only for a little bit first, and then just kind of take it from there. Anything before we go, Josh?
I thought, I'll be honest, I think this was our best stream.
Best stream? I mean, I enjoyed it.
I thought it was really
I was happy
good.
the entire time.
I was too.
Did you hear the happiness in my voice? You know why I'm happy, Josh? Because I feel like I'm doing something to actually that matters. That's going to make some dent in saving the country, even if it's just whatever 3 people were watching this thing.
You know, and I was thinking about that. There were times during this thing where I was like, we were, and me specifically, I was saying some stuff that was pretty bad by, like, you know, the modern, like, you know, not goes over well in a job interview these days. But I was thinking, I was like, you know what? If I got fired, if I lost my job and I had to go back and work for Amazon, at least I could say that I tried.
Exactly.
Which is more than most people.
Yeah, and if we make it, brother. We can actually make a difference. That's what this is all about. Just trying to move the needle a little bit. Outside the Overton, that's the name of the show. That's what we're trying to do. We are outside the Overton. We're trying to shift it to us, and you know, maybe it breaks before it shifts a little bit, but we'll see. We will catch you tomorrow to
call-in show
2:45.
Call-in show.
Call-in show tomorrow. We'll shoot for 3:30, depending on what kind of news happens between now and then. Like, sub, join memberships if you can. We appreciate it, and see you tomorrow. Thank you.